To actually ensure that all the illegally occupied buildings, whether owned by the municipality, but including to assist these ones that are owned by private people.
The Freedom Front Plus is suggesting a parallel national dialogue that does not include the ANC. The party says as long as the ANC is uncompromising in its policy positions, it has no place in such a conversation. The FF Plus yesterday withdrew from the national dialogue, accusing the ANC of being an obstructive role player. The dialogue will be preceded by a 2-day national convention, which starts on Friday. Lindsay Dentlinga reports.
The Freedom Front Plus's former leader and Minister of Correctional Services, Pieter Groenewald, has been part of the Interministerial Committee planning for the national dialogue. But the party's new leader, Corne Mulder, says the ANC is being an obstructive role player, and the Freedom Front Plus did not join the GNU to bend to the ANC's will.
We are not in the GNU to be co-opted. We are not in the GNU to be used. We are not in the GNU to make it possible for the ANC to govern as if they still have a majority. That's not why we are there.
Mulder suggests the dialogue organisers go back to the drawing board and start the process afresh.
That process should be led by the civil society and not by the government, not by the presidency, not by the deputy president. It should be completely out of their hands.
Mulder says the dialogue has presented the ANC with an opportunity to acknowledge that its policy directions are outdated. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
South Africa has reiterated that it won't make concessions on its domestic policy in exchange for a trade deal with the US. Pretoria's unwavering stance comes after tabling a revised offer in talks with Washington to soften the punitive tariffs imposed last week. In a shake-up to address the trade deficits, the US imposed 30% tariffs on imports from South Africa, which is the highest duty charged on goods from any sub-Saharan country. Nokayam Dambo has more.
Only parts of the deal being negotiated have been made public, including investment proposals as well as reviewing regulation on poultry, pork and blueberry imports from the US. In addition to demands to narrow the trade deficit, the US has tried to use its negotiating power to push South Africa to review some of its policies, including foreign policy, BEE and land expropriation laws. While a non-disclosure agreement is in place between South Africa and the US on sensitive matters, Trade and Industry Minister Park Stow says the country's domestic policies are not up for sale.
It's not a very sustainable thing to do as a country, so we need to preserve our sovereignty as a country.
With the congestion from other countries also in talks with US trade officials, it's unclear when Washington will respond to the new offer. Nogukanyam Dambo, Eyewitness News.
And Israeli forces have killed at least 73 Palestinians in Gaza in the past 24 hours, as aid workers say 2 more people died from starvation in the coastal enclave. The killings yesterday included 19 aid seekers and came as the European Union and 26 countries, including the UK, France and Canada, condemned the unimaginable levels of suffering in Gaza. The countries have called for urgent action to halt and reverse the unfolding famine in the war-torn territory. The killings at the Zakim take the death toll of aid seekers to more than 1,800 since May, when the notorious US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation began its operations in the Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, the UN Health Agency says Israel should let it stock medical supplies to deal with the health situation in Gaza before seizing control of the entire Palestinian territory. The World Health Organization's Rick Pippercon.
We need to be able to get all essential medicines and medical supplies in which are needed. And we need to stock up. And this doesn't only apply for health, it applies even more for food.
Gold is trading at $3,353.79 an ounce. The rand is at 17.57 to the dollar, 23.73 to the pound, 20.53 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.10 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got some delays on the N3 North in the Germiston area right as you approach Van Buren Road. Delays coming out of the Geldenhuys interchange while travelling on the Maikwa North. Delays between Boysons Road and the Crown interchange.
And in your sport, Devil Brevis becomes the youngest South African to score a T20 international century as the Proteas level the series against Australia. Abdeslam Wadu starts his Pirates reign with back-to-back Betway Premiership losses, and Miguel Cardozo bemoans the lethargic Sundowns following a first win of the campaign.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. Johannesburg starting at 9 degrees, peaking at 21. Pretoria 9 as well, and a high of 22. Vereeniging 7 and 22 as well. The top story in EWN this hour. Ekurhuleni Mayor Nkosindipile Xhakaza says people evicted from a block of flats in Germiston have cost the metro millions in municipal debt.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Gauteng's greatest awards at 702 and Yoko. Let's celebrate excellence, one vote at a time. Go to primediaplus.com now to vote for the finalist that makes Gauteng feel like home.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Eight minutes after 6 o'clock, it's smack bang in the middle of the week. Welcome to 702 Breakfast, wherever you are listening to us from. Welcome one, welcome all. Indeed, my name is Bongani Bingwa. Are you in Bongweni? Are you in Brandvlei, Muhlakeng? Maybe you are in Panvlak Gold Mine, in Randfontein, Toekomsrus. Hey, Mateo, say it with me. Toekomsrus.
Toekomsrus?
No, toekomsrus.
I can't say that like that.
Say the rus. Toekomsrus. Hey, KG? Hey, KG? Can you say toekomsrus? I'm going to get voice notes. You're going to say, well, actually, it wasn't quite perfect. Are you in Zenzele? It doesn't matter. Got the entire team with me. Amukhela Ngramila on traffic. Not from Toekomsrus.
No, not from Tukis.
Tukis. I like it. I like it. Somebody came to work today. Good morning, Mateo.
Morning, Bongs.
Mateo Khoripe here with business news. I've got the producers Bapelile and Siamtanda taking your calls. Anthony Teixeira brings us the latest in sport. And Sfisa Zulu has everything you need to know in Eyewitness News. Our mission, as always, is to tell you what's going on in the world, why it matters, and how it will impact you. We want you to be a part of our informed community. And wherever you are around 702 land, you are our eyes and ears.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
How's everyone feeling? Hope you're feeling good, ready to go. Let's do this. It's great to be on the show. All right, on our menu today, we're going to do something a little different with the Africa Report. One of the things that became quite clear to me in recent weeks, particularly when we focused on that dummies guide on Sudan and South Sudan, was how little we as South Africans often know about the rest of the continent. We tend to have a very parochial view of the world and care only about issues that affect us. And of course, those will always be important. But I think if we understand the continent a little bit better and the things that are happening, both good and bad, we'll have a better context of how things then impact us when they do. So over the next few weeks, we will still hear from Crystal Alderson from time to time, but over the next few weeks, we're going to be speaking to guests that are specific experts, either on issues on the continent or specific countries. And the idea is to get a real sense of the vibrancy and the dynamism that is happening on the rest of the continent. And so today we're focusing, for example, on Cameroon. They've got an election coming up, which of course is partly why we're looking into that country. But can you imagine the same president for 43 years? 43 years ago, who was president of South Africa? Do you remember? The groot krokodil, P.V. Botha. Can you imagine if he was still president of South Africa? State president, in fact. I think they used to throw that one in, right? A very militarized country we lived in under him. It was the state of emergency under P.W. Botha. He of the Rubicon speech, right? Be careful. Do not push us too far. Those are the kinds of things you would hear from that man. Imagine hearing those kinds of things for the last 43 years. There have been various attempted coups and power grabs. In 1990, Cameroon opened up for democracy. I think there were elections in 1992. He came close to losing them and he thought, yo, never again. Now he wins with landslide victories. He's 92. The man is 92. He's seeking a new term. And of course, if elected again, he could perhaps run for a further 2 and still be president at 100. Imagine. 92 years old. So we'll start there. We've been promised an interview by the former Exxaro CEO, who I think has a really important story to tell. You'll remember, of course, big investors in Exxaro include the IDC, the Industrial Development Corporation, the PIC, which is the largest asset manager on the continent. And they're going through an interesting phase where they're trying to sweat out their coal assets and look for new revenue streams. And she would have been central to that change in direction, change in strategy. She spent the better part of 20 years in that company, rising to the very top. It wasn't the happiest of endings, and I want her to tell her story and really what it means for corporate leaders in South Africa, particularly powerful black women. So hopefully that interview will happen after 7 o'clock. And then just before 9, it's another corporate that cares. And this morning we're speaking to the CEO of Unilever South Africa.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
7:02 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
13 after 6. Here's a question, Muteo Khwarepe. If your WhatsApp exchanges between you and your nearest and dearest, your significant other, about your colleagues and the business and your bosses, those were to be published, I don't know, on the front page of the Sowetan this morning, how safe would your job be?
Still very safe.
No.
Although I believe in
he says only the nicest things about us.
End-to-end encryption.
Shall we call Kiamu?
No, I mean, you can call. I'm not sure she'll answer.
Amo?
Oh, very safe. You would be so bored looking at my WhatsApps and the conversations between my husband and I. We spare those for when we see each other.
Ah, so you save all the juicy stuff,
Mm-hmm.
the good goss,
Yeah.
for pillow talk.
Mm.
That rubbish, Bongani. I'd love to hear your thoughts on 072-702-1702. If your exchanges with your significant other, your close friends, even your close circle of friends, if those were to be made public, particularly your comments about your bosses and colleagues and your employer, how safe would your job be? Let us know.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
I hate being not quite a prophet of doom. You know those moments where you hate being right? Right? Everybody loves being right. Everybody loves calling it correctly. But there are times when you've said, listen, if you don't take care of this, that might be the consequence. And when it happens, you go, oh gosh. Yesterday, I warned and I used the example of Operation Dudula. Now, many of us focused on whether or not what Dudula is doing is right or not. And in some sense, that wasn't really even the point of the conversation. The point of what I was trying to raise yesterday was, if there are people, for whatever reason, that are allowed to take the law into their own hands, how soon will we witness other groups trying to do the same? And by the end of the show, yesterday, what was the big story? The Germiston Home Affairs building set alight. Why was it set alight? It was set alight allegedly by angry residents of a building nearby who were being evicted. Why were they being evicted? It's alleged that was a hijacked building. It's alleged those residents were refusing to pay rent. It is alleged they wanted to stay there for free. And when the Red Ants were called in to try to evict them, the anger was so intense that in the furore that exploded, the Home Affairs building was set alight. I understand there have been 2 arrests. The Ekurhuleni mayor saying the people who were evicted from a block of flats in Germiston have cost the metro millions in municipal debt. So not only were these people not paying for their rates, when they were being evicted, they didn't want to leave, and subsequently that Home Affairs building was burnt to the ground. Do you see what I mean? Because if Operation Dudula did it, why can't I did it?
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
17 after 6. Mateo Haripa, you've got a question of your own?
Yeah, I want to know this morning, how do you deal with an unreliable supplier? Do you start calling people around to shop around for a better supplier, whether it's a contractor or somebody who fixes your car or any form of supplier who's become unreliable? Or do you speak to them directly to say, look, your service is not up to scratch, I'd like a better service?
I mean, I think if you... So unreliable can mean so many things, right? So their work might be good, but perhaps they're always late or they take days off. It's a relationship you build. I've often found, particularly with contractors, especially the ones who work alone, that at times to get the business, they will underquote. And so you hire them because you think, oh, this is a great deal. But then the work takes much longer than they anticipated, and you can already see when their costs start running out. So then when Amo calls them for a different job, it's easy to dump you for the new job. So I think you've always got to work out the real value of what it is you want them to do and make them not want to lose you, right? So often we want to strike the bargain and get the good deal, but we don't leave them in a position where they're afraid of losing the business from us. So be nice.
I'll tell you why I'm asking.
Coming up.
702.
Weather.
So what conditions can you expect this Wednesday? A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. Temperatures starting at 9, peaking at 21 in Johannesburg, 9 and 22 in Pretoria, I beg your pardon. Vereniging 7 and 22. Cape Town, partly cloudy also, a high of 16. Your peak in Gqeberha in East London is 20. Durban, fine. You can expect light to moderate winds, a high of 23.
Hi, hola, Bongs. Breakfast team. Hi, that's a good shout out. Proper toekomsrus, toekies. Thanks for the shout out.
EWN Traffic.
The girl from Tukkies. 19 after 6. Amo, let's have a first look at those roads.
Well, if you're traveling in Sunning Hill, we've got some delays on the N1 North. In fact, a car stuck on the road. It's 2 cars that are stuck on the road on the left shoulder this morning. The one before Rivonia Road and the other just near the Bowling Avenue Bridge. If you were traveling on the N3 North, we've got an accident reported. It's right near Van Buren Road. It happened after the Geldernes interchange and it's causing delays. So please be on the lookout there and approach with care. It's already causing about a 15-minute hold up there. I'll have your next traffic update coming up shortly. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
Hi 702 land, I'm Palesa from Waterfall. I love 702 because it's an inclusive station. It prioritizes inclusion. It has some of the best award-winning broadcasters in this country, and they walk the talk.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts,
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
Time. When you're a kid, it moves slower than a sloth trying to get through airport security. There is just so much of it. Skip forward a few years to your 20s. Time is still your friend. It says have some balance. Go party and have fun. Then your 30s hit. And time suddenly steps on the accelerator like it's trying to catch a traffic light before it goes red. 40s. Now time is moving faster than your 10-year-old on a sugar high. 50. You're desperately trying to save as much as you can, but time is moving so fast. And all you can think is, where did all the time go? That's why after 50 years of investing, we've learned that time is the greatest gift of all. And the good news is, if you invest early, time gives you money, and then money gives you more time for some much-deserved you time. Now, isn't that a compelling enough reason to invest? Ellen Gray, long-term investing. Ellen Gray is an authorized FSP.
FlySafe's Business Booster is back to help elevate and celebrate small local businesses. Enter now at flysafe.co.za. Tell us about your business, and you could be one of 6 standout prizes to win 10 return business class flights plus brand exposure across FlySafair's various platforms. Whether you're making, creating, or innovating, we're here to help your business not just take off, but skyrocket. FlySafair, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
702.
Add your voice.
Have your say.
Let's walk the talk.
Good morning, Bongani and team. Bongani. No, I just disagree with what you said, that because Dudula is doing it, so we're going to do it. I mean, these people are staying in apartments that they don't want to pay. And when they are being evicted, it's alleged that they burnt the building. That's not what Dudula is saying. Guys, you know, if you were to be in a situation where the majority of South Africans are in, where whenever you go to the clinic, there is no service or there's no medication because we overpopulated, guys, you would understand. I'm not condoning what Dudula is doing, but please, Bongani, don't compare the two. Don't minimize the pleas of South Africans when they say the government is not taking care of them.
I don't think I'm minimizing the pleas of any South Africans. We went to some length to discuss how the situation that Dudula is objecting to even arose. And we've done that conversation many a time. But the fundamental thing is their acts in dealing with it are illegal. They're against the law. And if one group is allowed to do so, well, there'll be many others who will think that that's the way to go. That's how you get heard in this country. We've seen that story over and over and over again. Protests over service delivery, the same thing happens. To get the attention of those in charge, people feel they must cause mayhem. And if one group is allowed to do so, I don't see why others, who may feel their grievances are just as valid, won't do the same.
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
23 minutes after 6 o'clock. Welcome to the program. If you've just joined us, we're looking now at things you need to know at this hour. Fidel Castro, the former Cuban dictator and revolutionary, would have celebrated his 99th birthday today. He was born on the 13th of August in 1926 in Cuba. Castro's life, you might say, was a testament to his conviction and determination. He was a law student, by the way, at the University of Havana, and it set him on a path to lead a revolution against Cuban dictator Fulgencio Batista. Castro's rise to power began with a failed attack on the Moncada barracks in 1953, but it was his impassioned defense, famously concluding, "History will absolve me," that propelled him to national prominence. What perhaps is not well known about Fidel Castro is that, in fact, he came from wealthy families that were plantation owners. And isn't it funny how often the people who lead these revolutions are those who come from the very top? President Cyril Ramaphosa will deliver today a keynote address at the African Union Water Investment Symposium in Cape Town today. It's a pivotal summit that will bring together influential leaders, including African heads of state, G20 representatives, global investors, ministers, and private sector players. Oh, listen to this. Elon Musk, the owner of X, formerly known as Twitter, what is he threatening? He wants to take Apple to court. And he's alleging that the tech giant's App Store rankings are biased towards OpenAI's ChatGPT. And that means it's impossible for AI apps like his Grok chatbot to reach the top spot. Musk says this is an unequivocal antitrust violation and is vowing to take immediate legal action. It's quite an interesting one because it escalated when OpenAI CEO Sam Altman responded to Musk's accusations, suggesting that Musk manipulates his social media platform X to benefit his own company and possibly even his views. Haven't you found that the content that is pushed towards you on X in particular has a particular leaning? You know, I've often seen users who are very pro-Republican, very pro-Trump, suddenly pop up on my timeline when I would ordinarily not be hearing from those kinds of voices because I wouldn't be seeking for that kind of information. So it's quite rich for Elon Musk to suggest that Apple is doing the very thing we know he does. But here's a thought. If your phone could keep only one app, if you had to delete every other app and keep only one, which one would you choose? And which apps are the VIPs of your home screen? Which ones do you get to most easily, most readily? ChatGPT, TikTok, Instagram, Threads? Threads is one of those. I have to remember to post something there.
By the by, yeah.
It was meant to do the things. It hasn't done any. Then there was that Blue Sky. What happened to Blue Sky? Is anybody still using Blue Sky? We're keeping an eye on developments in the Germiston CBD. That situation, of course, escalated as protesters set the Home Affairs office in that town ablaze, and it prompted police to intervene with tear gas and rubber bullets. It was certainly the big story of yesterday, prompted, I would say, by this idea that South Africans increasingly think we can take the law into our own hands and get away with it. Time now to look at the newspapers.
702.
The newspapers.
Sfisa Zulu.
Good morning.
On this day, in 1964, I was supposed to tell you.
Okay.
I didn't turn my page, you see. The Supremes recorded their iconic song, Baby Love. It was just 1 week before completing their album, Where Did Our Love Go? It was in 1964. You remember that song? KG, how did it go?
Baby love.
Baby Love.
Baby love.
Okay,
Baby.
we'll play it later. What's in the papers?
Right.
Baby Love.
There's an interesting story that I found in the Citizen.
See how he ignores me. Tell
the
me, Baby Love.
Yeah. Yeah, so while the whole chaos in Germiston was happening, a couple got up and they were so ready to get married, and only to find the Home Affairs building in Germiston up in flames. So the headline here says, Wedding Day Up in Smoke with Home Affairs Fire. So they prepare themselves, they had an appointment, and only to find the building was ablaze, and they were disappointed because nobody told them, like, look, this is happening.
Yeah. Well, here's a question I have. Would you take something like that as a sign?
I wouldn't.
Right?
I wouldn't.
You've got a big day.
No.
Hold on. You've got a big day planned. Something completely out of your control happens that prevents you from getting married, or from, the uncles on their way with the lobola. Something goes awry, completely out of your control. Would you say, ooh, maybe my grandmother is trying to tell me something?
No, Bongani, no.
My
Absolutely
ancestors
not.
are speaking.
No, absolutely not.
You rush to Alberton and get married there.
I go to another Home Affairs and we set another appointment. But luckily for them, the Minister of Home Affairs, Leon Schreiber, did make amends for them to say, listen, we're going to help you. You're still going to get married. But the dampener of this entire thing was that the bride, it was her birthday yesterday. So basically, her entire day was ruined yesterday because of this fire at the Home Affairs Department. But yeah, so the Home Affairs Department said that they're going to come in and they're going to help them and continue with getting married. Actually, they didn't take it as a sign. They're still going ahead with the marriage.
Would you take it as a sign? Let us know.
EWN Business.
All right, Mateo Kharipe, you want to know, how do you deal with unreliable suppliers? Shop around for a new one. Ask your current one to improve their service.
The South African fruit exporters are not only worried about new higher US tariffs, Bongani, but delays and inefficiencies at local ports are also costing a pretty penny for the industry. Apple and pear exporters say they lost 1 billion rand in 2024 due to Cape Town port inefficiencies. Transnet has remained under pressure in the freight industry for inefficiencies rocking South Africa's ports and that impact on economic activity in the country. In its 2023 Container Port Performance Index, the World Bank released in June, South African ports and terminals were amongst the worst in the world. Although Transnet took exception to those particular findings, the state rail and logistics firm is still struggling to provide a reliable service to some of its customers. According to The Citizen, the Western Cape Department for Mobility met with 2 a day, an apple and pear packaging and marketing company, and its logistics partner Link Supply Chain Management for strategic discussions around the port movement. A 2 a day says that port delays often force the business to divert containers to Port Elizabeth at significant cost simply to keep the supply chain moving and avoid halting harvest and packaging operations. This is the same for table grape suppliers who also have to rely on ports like Walvis Bay in Namibia to move their goods.
I thought we were trying to get this right. Not yet.
Not yet. It's the delays. Even if it's 2 or 3 days, the fact that as a fruit supplier you had scheduled something to move, if it doesn't, you can't rebook it.
And it takes
it's a lost sale.
And all these standards that they must meet, right, in terms of freshness. That's a real worry. Where's the rand?
17 Rand 57 against the US dollar, still in a good position this morning.
Really firming up, eh?
Yeah, it's been a good year for the rand. Not so much the economy. I wish both were going as well, but the rand has really done exactly. I'll tell you about that later. 17 Rand 57 against the US dollar, 20 Rand 51 against the euro, and a 23 Rand 69 cents against the British pound. The price of gold at $3,350 an ounce, while platinum is at $1,340. Brent crude at $66.19 a barrel. More business after 7.
Time now for your latest eyewitness news. Let's go straight to the news desk. Swiss Zulu Germiston is still a big story.
And that's right, Bongani. There's reaction, and it's been described the torching of a Home Affairs building in the Germiston CBD has been widely condemned. Some disgruntled residents petrol bombed the building yesterday, protesting against being evicted from a block of flats. The city's housing department says the occupants were removed because they have failed to pay their rent. Action SA's Lerato Ngobeni says destroying critical infrastructure is not the answer.
We don't agree at all with the burning of infrastructure. You can just imagine that office does not serve just this block of buildings. It serves the entire community. And so now you're going to have records that are burnt down. There are some records that are only paper-based. We have not fully moved into digitization of records.
The Gauteng Portfolio Committee on Community Safety says it has had enough of engaging on solutions to violence and instead wants to act now against criminals. Members of the committee were at the Protea Magistrates Court yesterday for the case of a 4-year-old girl who was allegedly raped and killed by her father. The child's mother is also arrested for failing to report sexual assault against the child. Committee Chairperson Bandile Masuku says they have gone into Eldorado Park and other crime-ridden communities before, and now they need to act.
But it's important now that we look and check what progress that we've made. So that will be our main fascination going forward, that all the recommendations, all the outcomes of all these engagements, what could have actually gone wrong and what is the progress.
Researcher Susan Boyson says policy differences within the Government of National Unity continue to threaten the coalition's stability. Boyson was the lead researcher for the Mapungubwe Institute for Strategic Reflection's latest coalition barometer. The report suggests that the ANC's difficulty in accepting power sharing and the DA's performative politics are affecting the coalition's stability. However, she says that smaller parties in the GNU do not pose a threat to the coalition.
But small parties that in the coalition do not come with policy demands that we are made well aware of. So they have got no intention to leave. They are very loyal to their coalition main partner.
And South Korea's former First Lady has been arrested over a range of charges, including stock manipulation and corruption. The arrest happened hours after the Seoul Central District Court reviewed the prosecutor's request for an arrest warrant against the 52-year-old. The court granted the warrant, citing the risk of tampering with evidence after prosecutors submitted opinion laying out Kim's alleged unlawful acts. With the arrest, South Korea now has a former president and First Lady both behind bars for the first time in the nation's history. The charges against the former First Lady include violations of capital market and financial investment laws, as well as political funds laws. A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures are at lows of 7 and 9 degrees, peaking at highs between 21 and 22.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 North. This is between the Yelands interchange and Van Buren Road due to an earlier accident. It's been cleared, but traffic remains very slow through the Germiston area. While traveling on the M2 West, bumper-to-bumper traffic already between Boysons Road and the Crown interchange.
The top story this hour, the torching of a Home Affairs building in the Germiston CBD has been widely condemned.
I work at Optima College. We offer distance learning solutions.
How is it that OUTsurance provided the solution for you?
918 Rand is what I'm saving.
Incredible.
Yeah.
You're helping people to do better and OUTsurance is doing better for you.
Definitely. If OUTsurance will not be able to beat your current premiums, remember there's that 500 Rand that you could get.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands.
Tell me, what brings you and OUTsurance together?
You know, Jacques, I've been battling to get a nice car insurance, man. Someone that can give you nice service. Whenever you call them, they're there for you. You know, OUTsurance, I found them. I'm saving a cool $360.
Why put yourself through the pain? Be like Jermaine.
Yes, be like Jermaine and sign up with OUTsurance.
Get the real deal with the real savings.
Yes, there we go. I made the right move.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
Tani Esther, or should I say the Tupperware Tani? How's business going?
Business is booming. I've been operating out of the boot of my car for 10 years, but shame, it couldn't keep up with my growing empire.
Okay, so you sold it to We Buy Cars?
Yes, quick. Sold my old one, bought a bigger one. I even sold some of my Tupperware to the friendly guy who picked up my car.
Stick to what you know best, eh, Tani?
Excuse me?
Never mind. We Buy Cars. Geared for your business, geared for you.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Morning, Bongani. I think you are being disingenuous by comparing Operation Dudula to what happened yesterday at Ekurhuleni. Operation Dudula doesn't ban anything in South Africa. It's showing patriotism because it is protecting everything that belongs to the South Africans rather than destroying it. This is Siamo from Report. Bye.
Bongani, the couple in Germiston, unfortunately for them, they didn't do what they wanted to do. But maybe it's a big sign, man. The guy must just pay lobola and then the family members must attend. It looks like it was him and his wife. So I just think that he must do the right things.
All right, two different voice notes, but kind of about the same thing. We were talking, of course, about this incredible scenario that unfolded in Germiston yesterday, the torching of the Home Affairs building in the CBD. So the first one says, it is wrong for me to make a comparison between that kind of thing where people who don't want to pay rent and are therefore being evicted, who don't want to pay their municipal rates and are therefore being evicted from a building, don't have the right to protest against that, certainly not burn down the Home Affairs building, and I absolutely agree they don't. But neither do groups like Operation Dudula have the, no matter what their intentions are, no matter how well reasoned they may think their position is, they still don't have the right to do what they do when they pull people out of clinics. Now, if that is your issue, we can have a different conversation about how the law says, in fact, everybody here in South Africa has access to those facilities legally, right? Then your quibble is with the law. It's not with the foreigners. If anything, you may find that there are people who are foreign nationals, who are here legally, who are being pulled out of those clinics, and they're not the ones who are the lawbreaker. The common factor here is people taking the law into their own hands. In the same way, you think it's deplorable to burn down the Home Affairs building by people who don't want to pay for services. It is equally illegal to do what Operation Dudula has been doing.
Good morning, Bongani. I think the one app that I would keep, it's definitely TikTok. I'm less active on Facebook and on Instagram. Yeah, and I go through a whole lot of TikTok. So yeah, TikTok would be my go-to app. The others, they can all go jump.
We were talking about having one app on your phone. Anthony Teixeira has just joined us in studio. Anthony, if you had to delete all the apps on your phone and keep but one, which one would it be?
Apple Music. That is about the only thing I would keep. Or YouTube. Oh, you mean social media? Because YouTube is a biggie.
All right, let's keep it general. Let's say social media.
Social media.
Because I need Apple Music.
Yeah. Honestly, they can all go.
Really?
Yeah, at this point, I think it's more trouble than it's worth. People shouldn't have that much access to you.
All right, which apps are front and center on your phone? Which ones do you
Instagram, if I'm being honest.
Instagram.
Yeah.
What's your handle
Maybe
on
I'm going
Instagram?
to keep Instagram. I actually don't know.
Oh, so you don't? It's not like you want people to follow you.
No.
You're one of those private.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just me, myself, and I.
All right, Anthony. Very privately, tell us what's happening in the world of sport.
EWN Sport.
Oh man, how special is Devalt Brevis? Hey?
Honestly, simply amazing.
How special is that young man?
That innings from beginning to end was spectacular, but we will start with the Proteas as Devalt Brevis led the charge as he struck an unbeaten 125 runs from 56 deliveries, with the South Africans posting 218 for 7. In response, the batter then took 2 catches in the field, dazzling ones at that, as the Baggy Greens were all out for 165. He hopes to kick on from here in the international arena.
It's not that this happened now and now I'm happy or anything. Like, I just want to keep working hard, do the same things, and the next match is the next match. So this 100, I can enjoy it now, think a bit about it, watch it maybe, but then when the next match comes, it's completely a new match and anything can happen then, so you have to be in the moment.
Following that 53-run victory over the Australians, the series is now level, which means that Saturday's final encounter becomes the decider. Elsewhere, the West Indies won a first ODI series against Pakistan in 34 years. They won with an eye-watering 202 runs after they dismissed the visitors for just 92 runs in their innings. Switching to football, Orlando Pirates let a goal lead slip in a 2-1 beating at Marimo Gallants. They suffered now back-to-back Betway Premiership losses to start their campaign. Meanwhile, Mamelodi Sundowns needed to shake off the weekend's draw, and they did just that at home at Loftus as they returned back to winning ways. They scored twice after the break as it ended 2-0 over Amazulu. Coach Miguel Cardozo wasn't too impressed with that first 45.
We suffered, we didn't suffer in terms of chances of the all, but we suffered in terms of being comfortable to play the game that we want to play and to aggress the opponent in the way we should aggress and to obviously try to make the result earlier in the match and not let it go for the second half.
Newly promoted side Orbit College are up and running in the league. Despite playing on the back foot for much of the game, they snuck past Siwelele at 1-0. And in athletics, pole vaulter Mondo Duplantis has once again broken the world record with a 6.29 meter clearance in Budapest. He sets a 13th world record. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Good morning, Uncle Bongani. My name is Olunga Zulu. I am 12 years old, learning in Likang Primary School in Soweto. When I grow up, I want to be an electrical engineer. I am excited to play the Whiz Kid with Uncle Bongani this morning.
We're excited to play with you too. Our country certainly needs all the engineers it can get. Good luck. Good night. Good luck, Olungaka. Good luck.
EWN Traffic.
We were talking about pillow talk earlier, Amo. That's why my brain is thinking good night. It's 7:15. Who wishes they were still saying good night instead of good morning in traffic?
Well, the people on the Mike 1 North, certainly, because there's bumper-to-bumper traffic there between Boysons Road and Cass Street. While traveling on the Soweto Highway towards the Boysons area, do expect heavier traffic volumes approaching the M1 bridge. Crownwood Road in itself heavily backed up out of the Soweto Highway. So leaving the Soweto area this morning, as well as the Boysons Crown areas, could be problematic because of those heavy traffic volumes on those routes. I'll have more updates for you. Stay tuned for more.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
When you empower a woman, you empower a whole nation. Women have a remarkable way of multiplying whatever is placed in their hands. This August, we're celebrating Women's Month with the theme Building Resilient Economies for All. We reflect and honor the courageous women of 1956 who took a stand against the injustices of the past. We also recognize and celebrate all South African women who continue to lead, build, and inspire across every part of our society, from business and education to peace building and beyond. Yes, there is still much to be done. The pursuit to achieving total gender equality and empowerment will continue until every woman is able to enjoy the benefits of a safe and just society. #Rekaufela Basadi. #Women's Month 2025. A message by the National Department of Sport, Arts and Culture.
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
The team's on a roll today. Let me focus on payroll. Duty calls in the kitchen. That's why I have a business insurer that is agile and on the ball all the time on all things. I chose My Way Business Insurance, getting 24/7 emergency service and saving on my premiums, plus my business assist to handle my admin.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Top, good morning, Mr. Bingwa and 702 lenders. Sign or no sign? Definitely no sign, but an inconvenience as I drive to Alberton Home Affairs. Thanks for a great show. Typo in Boxburg.
Good morning, Bongani and the team. About that wedding, I would also think twice and ask myself why the building banned on our wedding day. So I think it's a sign. I think that was a signal given to them. Mama, give us signal, Mama. Your enemies are here. Give us signal, Mama. That was a signal, Bongani.
Don't go there. Don't go there. Up next, we're going to be looking at what comes next for Cameroon, but we really, really want to make a big splash about getting us as South Africans to not have so parochial a view of ourselves, but to be really immersed in what is happening on the rest of the continent, both good and bad.
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 702.
Give away some cash, shall we? In the meantime, we're playing with 12-year-old Olungaka, who is from Likang Primary School, wants to be an electrical engineer when he grows up. Olungaka, are you ready to play?
Yes, I'm ready to play.
Yes, you are. KG, start the clock. Spell the word equal.
EQUAL.
Correct. Which animal eats ants? Is it the hyena or the aardvark?
Pass.
The aardvark. True or false? A botanist studies horses.
Sorry?
True or false? A botanist studies horses.
True.
It's false. Complete the saying, don't run before you can what?
Can walk.
Correct. Which one is a fish? The orca or the penguin? Or the shark?
A shark.
Correct. True or false? Africa has a larger area than South America.
True.
Correct. Which is the capital of India? New Delhi or Mumbai?
New Delhi.
Correct. What is 15 times 3?
45.
Correct. True or false? Buffaloes and bison are members of the same family.
False.
The answer would have been true. The answer would have been true. Olungaka, you walk away with 6 correct answers. That's a credible score. Remember, it's $100 for each correct answer. You get all 10, you win 10,000 Rand. But you must be aged 10 to 13 to play.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Coming up in the next hour, what's the question? And it's brought to you by Outsurance. Up to 3,000 Rand in cash is up for grabs. So what you do is you send us an answer based on something you heard in the show that piqued your interest, and you win 1,000 Rand for that. You simply WhatsApp us your name and that answer to 072 702 1702. And then later, someone else will ask a question to win 2,000 Rand. Now, you always stand a better chance of being selected if you've SMS'd out to Outsurance and got yourself a quote. So do it now. SMS out to 45142 and you could save on your car insurance.
702.
The Africa Report.
The Africa Report is going to take a different turn for some time to come. What we're doing is we really want to immerse ourselves into the rest of the continent, both in terms of historical issues, current issues, good and bad. We'll cover entertainment, we'll cover politics, we'll cover big events, we'll cover music. You might have profiles every now and again. I still want to get Angelique Kidjo, for example. So we're going to really open up the Africa Report to bring you all kinds of interesting things that are happening on the rest of the continent. But to get us off, we thought we'd have this conversation. Imagine if P.W. Botha was still president of the Republic, because that's who was in charge of South Africa in 1982. For Cameroon, little has changed at the top for the last 43 years. Do you know, most Cameroonians have known no other president than Paul Biya. The strongman, of course, has survived multiple attempts to oust him, including attempted coups, but has clung on to power mostly through the support of the army and sham elections. Now, at 92, he's been cleared to run for an 8th term, potentially staying in office until nearly 100. But beneath the official parades and propaganda slogans lies a nation bedeviled by poverty, corruption, and a battered economy. And yet it is a country that is endowed with oil and agricultural wealth. We've invited Dr. Pippi Hughes, who is in fact based in the capital, Yaoundé. He's a policy analyst in governance and the democracy division of the Ngafu Policy Institute, and holds a PhD in international law. Dr. Hughes, thank you so much for your time and welcome to 702 Breakfast.
Thank you very much, Bongani, for having me.
I've been to Yaoundé, I've been to Douala, and I remember the first impression that hit me as somebody from the southern tip of the continent is just the heat, right? The temperature and the humidity that's almost, it smacks your face as you arrive. But Cameroon is a beautiful country, is it not?
Of course, a very beautiful country in terms of climate, good climatic condition. We have the dry season and the rainy season. Now in Yaoundé, we are moving towards the rainy season.
Talk to me about the early 1980s. What kind of country did Paul Biya inherit?
Thank you very much once again, Bongani. I think that in the 1980s, when President Biya came to power, he inherited a country from President Amadou Ahidjo, a country that was moving towards economic growth, towards economic development. Agriculture was at its peak. The gross domestic product was growing. In terms of infrastructure, there was high rate of infrastructural development, and there was equally what we call political stability.
In those early years, what were his biggest political and economic challenges then? I suppose carrying through with that.
In terms of economic challenges, one of the biggest economic challenges we had in the early 80s when the current president came to power, the biggest challenge was how to realize this vision that President Ahidjo had. That is why when President Biya came, he brought a policy called the communal liberalism. He brought in this policy to see how he could march in to effectively fit into the shoes of his predecessor. In terms of political advancement, you discover that when the people of the Grand North, where Ahidjo came from, people of the Grand North, they felt cheated when they discovered that their brother from the Grand North was manipulated out of office. So several attempts were made on the head of state to try to oust him, but he has been very, very vigilant. He has been tenacious in holding on to power.
All right, so just for context, of course, Paul Biya took over from Amadou Ahidjo, as you say, and there was some reaction in the early years from those who felt that that had been unjust. But Paul Biya's grip on power was ironclad, certainly from the beginning, but he tried to loosen that grip. 1992, the presidential election, where in fact he came quite close to losing that power, didn't he?
That in the early 90s, where we had the multi-party politics was welcome in Cameroon, because you agree with me that prior to President Paul Biya, President Aijo had this one-party system. So in the 90s, early 90s, Cameroon welcomed multi-party politics. And one of the greatest and strongest opposition party that emerged in the 90s was the Social Democratic Front, the SDF, which was headed by late Ni John Frundi. And they participated massively in that 1992 presidential election, which some analysts, some political scholars believe that the SDF won that election. But, in Cameroon, it is official elections, official results are declared by the election management body. At the end of the day, the election management body declared the incumbent a winner, but it was a very, very tight election.
Right, talk to me about continuing tensions that have their roots, I suppose, in the colonial era, what is now being called the Anglophone crisis. Really, then, tensions between English and French-speaking regions that has now escalated into violence.
Yeah, the Anglophone, what we call the Anglophone crisis or the Anglophone conflict emerged in 2016. It has been ongoing now for close to 7 to 8 years, where, Cameroon is made up of 10 regions, and 8 of these regions are French-speaking, while 2 of these regions are English-speaking, the Northwest region and the Southwest region. They form the Anglophone part of Cameroon, and they feel marginalized, they feel discriminated. They feel that they are not receiving their own fair quota of national representation. And so in 2016, this conflict emerged with lawyers and teachers taking to the street. Lawyers were advocating for the translation of the Ohada law to English. Teachers were complaining of marginalization, access to government institutions. So it started like a protest that has plunged the country into 8 years of crisis before it moved into secession demands and stuff like that. But the central government in Yaoundé has been very, very tactful in handling this crisis to ensure that it doesn't escalate beyond where it has been.
All right, so we're looking at an election coming up in October, I think it is. At 92, the incumbent is seeking another term. What will that mean for Cameroonians, many of whom who don't remember another president that wasn't called Paul Biya?
Yeah, the country will be going in for presidential elections on the 12th of October 2025, and the incumbent is seeking at 8th term in office. You see, the problem here is the constitutional reforms that were made in 2008, because initially these mandates had a limitation. But in 2008, the constitution was changed to give the president the latitude to seek re-election anytime he wishes. In 2008, the constitution was changed to a 7-year mandate eligible for re-election. So that was where the problem started. And as long as he's there, he's surrounded by his état-major that gives him that push to always cling to power. The problem we are having in terms of this election is that the populace, the majority of Cameroonians, for us to effectively effect change, we must get involved in the process. Cameroon is a country of about 30 million people. But if you look at the electoral register, just 8 million people have registered to take part in this election, which is a very, very insignificant number.
Just goes to show, if you don't participate in your democracy, then the results are difficult to complain about. Dr. P.P. Hughes speaking to us from Yaoundé, consultant in governance in that part of the continent, a 92-year-old seeking yet another term after 43 years at the helm. I said earlier, can you imagine P.W. Botha still being president of this country?
702.
Coming up, the big interview.
Big interview focuses on leadership and lessons learned. We'll speak to the former CEO of Exaro Resources, Dr. Nombasa Tsengwa, who is speaking out about her departure for the first time. That's all to come After this Eyewitness News, brought to you by Khaliks. Khaliks, for the businessman who knows what he wants.
This is EWN.
The tobacco industry claims regulations will drive people to the black market, and properties belonging to the Guptas have now been sold in South Africa. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Cigarette manufacturer British American Tobacco says draft legislation to regulate the sale of tobacco and vaping products will collapse the industry and hand it over to criminals. BAT issued the warning during public hearings in Parliament yesterday on the Tobacco Products and Electronic Delivery Systems Control Bill, which is still under consideration. But an organization representing the pharmaceutical industry has welcomed the bill, saying the use of vaping devices, mostly by the youth, should be regulated. Babalondenza reports.
BAT's head of corporate and regulatory affairs, Johnny Moloto, says while the intention to reduce smoking is a good one, the bill will do the opposite and will see an increase in smoking. Moloto says smokers will rather opt for cheaper illicit cigarettes, which ultimately benefit the illicit industry because the legislation only targets 25% of the industry that is compliant.
We believe that it will collapse the remaining legal industry, inflict devastating economic damage, and undermine good governance. Ultimately, it will hand the entire market to criminals on a platter.
But Independent Community Pharmacy Association CEO Jackie Myman welcomes the legislation and has called for tougher regulations on vaping devices, which are popular with the youth.
We really need to regulate this market. Bubblegum, mango, cotton candy, these aren't flavors, Chair. They are bait.
But she says since tobacco control was introduced, the country has seen a general reduction in smoking. Babalondenza, Eyewitness News.
The Auditor General's office has warned that unless there's consequence management in Free State municipalities, they will continue to be on the brink of financial collapse and be unable to deliver necessary services. Yesterday, Parliament's Cooperative Governance Committee interrogated 4 local municipalities on the AG's findings following an intensive oversight process involving all 23 municipalities in the province. Committee Chairperson Zweli Mkhize says the observations are symptomatic of a culture of impunity. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
From unpaid employee pension contributions, billions owed to creditors, dodgy tenders, and billions of rands in unauthorised, irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, Free State councils are mostly dysfunctional. The Auditor General's Business Unit leader, Odwa Duda, says mayors need to play a more proactive role in keeping an eye on their council's financial reports.
With the mayor not doing that assessment, they are unable to identify on time the indicators already that could give indication that the municipality has the financial problems.
Committee Chairperson Zweli Mkhize says the provincial leadership must also be held accountable to ensure municipalities receive the necessary support to comply and act on the Auditor General's findings.
The issue of the culture of impunity, it's important for us to say you will have to ensure that the consequence management.
The AG's office says Mkhize is not off the mark in questioning whether some councils may need to be placed under administration. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The business rescue practitioners tasked with disposing of the Gupta brothers' properties say there are no more significant assets belonging to them in South Africa. Yesterday, the auctioneers of the infamous Gupta compound announced the sale to a single buyer. The 3 properties were sold for 34.5 million rand. Khomozo Modise has more.
The business rescue practitioners for the Gupta-owned properties announced yesterday that they accepted and confirmed an offer for all 3 Saxonwold houses that were owned by the controversial brothers. The offer was made by a single buyer who now owns a 17-bedroom en-suite property, an 8-bedroom property, and a more modest 3-bedroom house. The buyer also bought a 4th property in the same street for 6.5 million rand. The auctioneers, Park Village Auction, says the business rescue practitioners will receive their funds in accordance with the terms of the business rescue plan, and the Gupta brothers creditors can also expect to receive payment. The practitioners say since the Gupta brothers fled from South Africa in 2016, the assets from their companies, including the Optimum Coal Mine and the New Age Media, have been disposed of. Khomozo Modise, Eyewitness News.
And Israeli forces have killed at least 73 Palestinians in Gaza in the past 24 hours as aid workers say 2 more people died from starvation in the coastal enclave. The killings yesterday included 19 aid seekers and came as the European Union and 26 countries, including the UK, France and Canada, condemned the unimaginable levels of suffering in Gaza. The countries have called for urgent action to halt and reverse the unfolding famine in the war-torn territory. The killings at Zikim take the death toll of aid seekers to more than 1,800 since May, when the notorious US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation began its operation in the Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, the UN Health Agency says Israel should let it stock medical supplies to deal with the health situation in Gaza before seizing control of the entire Palestinian territory. The World Health Organization's Rick Pikakon.
We need to be able to get all essential medicines and medical supplies in which are needed. And we need to stock up. And this doesn't only apply for health, it applies even more for food.
Gold is trading at $3,353.79 an ounce. The rand is at 17.57 to the dollar, 23.73 to the pound, 20.53 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.10 a barrel.
And in the traffic, traveling on the N1 North, we've got delays between the N12 exit and the Golden Highway, while on the N3 North, bumper-to-bumper delays between the Yellands Interchange and Modderfontein Road.
And in your sport, in Betway Premiership midweek action, it was Mamelodi Sundowns who secured a first victory of their campaign, while back-to-back losses for Orlando Pirates. Proteas have levelled the 3-match T20 series against Australia thanks to a 53-run victory. And Carlos Alcaraz wins a 50th match in 2025.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. Johannesburg is at a low of 9 degrees, peaking at 21. Pretoria, 9 and 22. Vereeniging, 7 and 22 as well. The top story in EWN this hour. Cigarette manufacturer British American Tobacco says draft legislation to regulate the sale of tobacco and vaping products will collapse the industry and hand it over to criminals.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You may not know this, but 2 things stand in the way of some young people getting a job interview. One is the cost of travel and the other, the cost of a suit. Since Khaliq's introduced their suit trade-in promotion, over 7,000 suits have been refurbished and distributed thanks to you. Khaliq's are committed to helping young people find employment and have helped in training them too. So when it comes to business, start with Khaliq's, committed to helping young businessmen make their best start. Khaliq's, for the businessman who knows what he wants.
Gauteng's greatest awards with 702 and Yoko. Your vote is not just a click. It's a thank you, a nod, a way of saying we see you. Vote for your favorite local business now on primemediaplus.com.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Nine minutes after 7 o'clock, you're listening to 702 Breakfast. Welcome to the show if you've just joined us. I've been asking for a little while now the question of people taking the law into their own hands. Yesterday, of course, the breaking story at around this hour was the torching of the Home Affairs building in downtown Germiston. I want you to listen to this report by ENCA's reporter Nabila Sheikh, who I think is absolutely fantastic, did a really great job yesterday walking into chaos, rubber bullets, stones flying everywhere, and of course that blaze in that building. Listen to this scene yesterday.
Police are now also firing rubber bullets. So really a tense situation here. You can see that the stones are being thrown at the police from the other side of the main entrance, and that police continue to fire those rubber bullets at these residents behind the block of flats. So it seems police have now just gained entry. They are now entering the property to go and conduct these evictions.
Newsroom Africa yesterday spoke to Major General Fred Gekana, who said 2 people had been arrested on charges of public violence and arson. This, of course, after residents facing eviction set that Home Affairs building ablaze. And it turned the CBD in Germiston into a battleground of frustration and fury.
And unfortunately, the same group of people, then they decided to attack and burn to ashes the building of Department of Home Affairs. 2 people have been arrested already, but some of the suspects are still on the run. The team is on the ground. We are busy following up. We will get them to ensure that all of them face justice. We deal with the whole situation. But currently, those who are still behaving or contravening the laws of the country, including unlawful destruction of buildings and properties, are being dealt with because all the teams are on the ground.
Yesterday, we spoke to Adam Gilchrist in The Worldview, who told us about the moves by the US President Donald Trump to essentially take over the local policing of the capital, Washington, D.C. Now, have a listen to the White House Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt speaking to journalists who wanted to know if part of what the Trump administration is doing is to drive out homeless people. Where on earth will they go?
The Metropolitan Police Department, with the support of the new federal agencies who have been surging on the streets of the District of Columbia, are going to enforce the laws that are already on the books here in Washington, D.C. For far too long, these laws have been completely ignored, and the homelessness problem has ravaged the city. So D.C. Code 22-1307 and D.C. Municipal Regulation 24-100 give the Metropolitan Police Department the authority to take action when it comes to homeless encampments. So homeless individuals will be given the option to leave their encampment, to be taken to a homeless shelter, to be offered addiction or mental health services, and if they refuse, they will be susceptible to fines or to jail time.
That's what they think of homeless people, people only in need of addiction or mental health services. The Donald Trump administration.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Things you need to know at this hour today. Judge Nathan Erasmus is set to deliver 2 pivotal rulings in the high-profile Jocelyn Smith kidnapping and human trafficking case. In the first matter, the judge will determine whether former accused turned state witness Laurentia Rentz Lombard will be granted immunity from prosecution for her role in Jocelyn's disappearance in August. Last year, Lombard's testimony was crucial to the trial, and her lawyers have argued she should be exempt from prosecution because she cooperated and told the court that the mother of Jocelyn Smith wanted to sell the 6-year-old to a sangoma for 20,000 rand in February 2024. The second one is whether or not to grant leave to appeal to Jocelyn's mother, Kelly Smith, and her co-accused, who are convicted of kidnapping and human trafficking the child and sentenced to life imprisonment. The trio's defense have argued that trial erred in its conviction. Dr. Josienzo Ramagopa, the Minister of Electricity and Energy, is set to provide an update on South Africa's electricity grid. That'll be in a media briefing later today, because we don't have much load shedding. We don't think about all of these things too readily these days, do we? President Cyril Ramaphosa, as I said earlier, will give that keynote address at the African Union Water Investment Symposium in Cape Town today. And in 2022, Beyonce's song Break My Soul reached #1 on the Billboard charts, a song that was a lead single from her album Renaissance.
702. Up next,
The Big Interview.
EWN. Traffic.
It's a 7:15. This Eyewitness News traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. That crash in Devland on the N1 North. Amo?
It's causing delays, Bongani, right after the N12 exit towards the Golden Highway. About a 20-minute hold up there already, so please be patient if you're driving along this route. There's also queuing traffic in the same area along the Golden Highway between Union Avenue and the N1. Obviously, this is due to the long-term roadworks that are taking place along the Golden Highway, and the delays, you can expect them to slow you down all the way towards Southgate Mall. If you are traveling on the N3 North, we still have got heavy traffic volumes. This is between the Geldenhuys Interchange and Modderfontein Road. Peak time delays there. There's also peak time delays on the M1 North between Boysons and Carr Street. I'll have your next traffic update. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clever late excuse number 78. The GPS language setting mysteriously changed to Greek. Well, fortunately, the Outsurance pointsmen are on the roads, and you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late, because they ease traffic congestion to get you there quickly and safely. Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out, in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702.
The Big Interview
with Bongani Bingwa.
So 16 minutes after 7, on to this now. It took her more than 20 years to climb to the top, only to find a room with no echoes. As CEO of Exaro Resources, Dr. Nombasa Tsengwa found herself at the peak of a steep mountain with no one to share the view. She was accused of bullying and toxic leadership. Executives around her resigned, saying her leadership style was unbearable. Later, she was suspended following allegations of misconduct and fostering a toxic culture. She eventually left the mining giant after a career spanning decades, and she now says she harbors no resentments. But hers is a cautionary tale for those who seek to wear the crown. As they say, heavy lies the head. Did she jump? Or was she pushed? She joins us now. Dr. Nombasa, the former Exaro CEO, thank you so much for talking to us this morning, and welcome to 702 Breakfast.
A very good morning, Bongani, and really on this August month. And I want to wish all women a great month of celebration, especially in observing our resilience as women, and still wondering why in 2025 we still have to prove ourselves. But we are up to it, and thank you for inviting me.
Resilience, celebration, and solidarity. Let's talk about your career. For the first time, you are breaking your silence about the circumstances of your departure at Exaro. Why?
Bongani, when I was suspended from the 4th of December, I was really confined and limited to what I could say by my suspension conditions. So, and I respected that. And then you may ask yourself to say, okay, you resigned on the 5th of February. And at that time, I had to deal with the shock. I had to deal with the grief of the fact that I had to leave an organization that I loved, an organization that made me.
In your resignation, you spoke of the pain of having to leave, but you also said it was a lost cause to fight for your position because there was a predetermined outcome.
Yes. So indeed, that's what the resignation letter said. That is how I felt. And you will remember, maybe just to give you, just cast back to say, you know, you deal with similar issues which came from a whistleblower in the month of June in 2024.
Yeah.
And you've got a lot of those, actually, almost 40 allegations. People don't believe me when I say that. And you deal with them, and you deal with them successfully after an external investigation. And similar allegations come out again in later in the year, in October, a few months after the case is closed. similar, you then say, all right, then I am suspended for this and I will deal with it. And you are outside, you are not inside to deal with the matters. You don't have the resources of engaging in earnest and understanding what really happened. It just became too complicated. And for me, it became clear that the space for me to engage in the organization was actually not available. And it was time to think about the organization further. I mean, look, as I said, you have similar allegations, you deal with them, you clean them up. You get similar allegations, you deal with them. Yeah.
I'll come back to that because you've already mentioned that. But just for listeners to get some context about your career, I mean, yours was not a sudden elevation at Exxaro. You earned your stripes. You have a PhD in agronomy. You were the former head of the company's coal division. I think you played a central part as CEO in helping formulate a strategy to sweat coal assets and find new revenue streams. You were the golden child in a sense. What went wrong, do you think?
I came to Exxaro in 2003 and really looking forward to a good career. And I tell people when I walked in Bongani, I felt that I would be a CEO of that company, but I thought it would happen early. So that was a start for me of preparing myself for the bigger office. I did all I could, and you've mentioned it, in terms of the contributions I've made in the organization. The organization respected me, and I respected the people of Exxaro. And you lead people with respect, and I led people with respect. I am one of those people who are able to engage in courageous conversations. And when these accusations came, they came as a big surprise. Now you can ask me, should I sit here with you and try and get into a conversation of what could have happened, who said what, and those people are not here with us as we're talking to each other to defend themselves. And really, let me tell you, Bongani, what my thinking is here. Instead of trying to understand what could have happened and really involving so many people trying to name names and accusing people, is to save my voice to deal with the future and deal with things that are positive.
Sure. No, I fully agree. I don't want to get into details about names and who said what, but I think there are some lessons to be learned in terms of leadership here. And I just want a broad comment or response. I mean, for example, one of the things a number of executives reportedly said where they questioned your leadership style, they said you were a bully, and a number of them, I think 9 executives in your tenure, were either fired or suspended. What does that say to you?
Bongani, when people are working in organizations, those are skills, that need to be kept in organization. And I've learned from everybody that I've led. I've learned from the individuals that left Exxaro, and I respect them. I have not had any conversation with any of them, given all our interactions, to get the sense that you've just told me. So it's very difficult for me, as I say, to sit here and say what could have happened to each one of them. And I respect each one of them. And I don't think one needs to sit on radio and publicly say, so-and-so left because of that, so-and-so left because of that. I've led the company with courage, with integrity. And I tell you, my record and my, I'd say, legacy, which I leave behind, is for people to tell. I'm still going to lead going forward, and I think people will see what Nombasa's leadership is about. Leadership is quite personal. Leadership is messy, is personal, but talking to you on radio about something that I've not been engaged on is not fair.
They also said at Exxaro that you were advancing the business interests of a partner's company. They accused you of facilitating payments and purchases from Exxaro. And there was an investigation by the law firm ENS, which you called a witch hunt?
So, Bongani, I understand why people would be curious about this, because it's really, if a CEO does that, it is seriously unbecoming. You are not setting the right example. And I'm one person who's a stickler for ethics. So this is a matter, which is a third matter, when it came, was for me an indication that the room has become too small. And I needed to exit because it was not going to serve the organization, myself, and the people involved in the organization on this matter anything positive. It was going to destroy. Hence, I decided to take the bow and leave the company.
What was it like to lose the confidence of the board, and I would imagine in particular the chairman, Jeffrey Krenner, whom I'd imagine as an industry colleague and peer, you would have had very good relations until, good relationship with him until all of this came to light. Was that a personal loss to you? Did it hurt?
It always hurts, to be seen to have lost somebody so important to you who has been your guide, a colleague. Look, we arrived with Jeff arrived or became a chair of the board 3 months before I became CEO. So we started the journey together. We started the partnership together. A partnership I believe was quite cordial up to the time I left. So I would not say that Jeff and I have an acrimonious relationship. In course, I would say, we are not at that level. And I cannot speak for the conversation they've had in the board about myself and the decision they've taken. I wasn't there.
All right.
So it's very difficult for me to judge them. I have a good relationship with Jeff. It's still cordial and will continue to be.
One of the executives who resigned purportedly said that the way you led and managing was disempowering, that every day was a different story. She said it was the most horrifying time of her career at Exxaro. As somebody who has led with purpose in the way that you've described, how does it feel to hear words like that or even see them in print written about you, said about you?
A very disappointing feeling, by the way, and surprising at the same time. Because, as I said to you, as much as leadership is quite difficult, it is very messy. You've got to deal with a lot of interests. I have never expected what this individual said. And that is why I'm saying to you, the biggest disappointment for me is to sit outside, talk to you about things that I read about in the newspapers.
Gosh.
That is really where the difficulty is. When I spent 22 years, in fact, maybe let's say 20 years before I became CEO, preparing myself to be a good leader, preparing myself to really see people, invest in people, take people along, knowing that there are times when you disagree with people, and making sure that when one disagrees, you listen. This is one feedback that I've never heard, and it is quite disappointing to hear about. Because, as I say, it's been purposeful for me, and it's been respectful, and I've gotten a lot from people. I've learned a lot from everybody that I've worked with in this organization.
Of course, when you launched a court challenge to challenge your suspension, you lost with costs, not on the merits, but on the urgency question. But to eventually leave this company that you've given so much of your life, of your intellectual capital, your sweat, your blood, your tears, without so much as a golden handshake, is there something we can read into that?
Everything that happened, Bongani, in the 22 years, I appreciate, I grew from that experience. And I like the fact that you read this very well, that We went to court, and it was difficult to go to court, I must say that, because this thing was already out in the public domain, and the only source of relief I had was to go to court. As I say, for me, it was not the issue of it was the agency. There was also the merits of the case. We lost on the agency side, but the merits of the case are still in the papers in the court. So there's nothing that I'm worried about that had happened, but it's unfortunate that it had to go to that level because, as I said earlier to all interviews I've been giving, it cannot be about numbers. There's a bigger organization here with investors who look up to the organization, to us as leaders and the directors to do the right thing.
But walking
so for
away,
me, that's what must be read from this, Bongani.
Walking away without that golden handshake, without those millions, does that tell us something about numbers?
Bongani, I think it is really, I say the organization comes first and my name comes second. And let's leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that indeed. Former Exxaro CEO Dr. Nombasa Tsengwa, who agreed to speak to us about her departure from Exxaro. And I thought this Women's Month, it's a cautionary tale when you think about transformation and representation at the very top of a yet still male-dominated sector.
EWN Traffic.
This Eyewitness News Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. Amo?
Well, Bongani, we still have got that accident seen on the N1 North right near the Golden Highway. It's causing heavy traffic volumes coming out of the N12 exit. About a 20-minute hold up altogether. Please be on the lookout. I'll have more details coming up shortly.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Outsurance made it possible for us to travel more with the money that we save. 725. This is really real.
You are the biggest saver we've ever had.
2,794 Rand a month. It was the easiest switch ever. Get real.
How is it that Outsurance provided the solution for you?
918 Rand is what I'm saving.
Incredible.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
EWN Business.
Gosh, Mateo, what Stats SA saying about our unemployment numbers? It's the highest level, since the second quarter of last year?
Yeah, the unemployment rate rose to 33.2% in the second quarter of 2025, up from 32.9% in the previous quarter. This was the third consecutive rise in unemployment since the final quarter of 2024. The number of employed people increased by just 19,000 to 16.8 million, while those that are unemployed increased substantially at 140,000 to 8.4 million. The largest job losses were in community and social services at 42,000, followed by finance and agriculture, which recorded 24,000 job losses respectively. Transport also losing around 15,000. The labor force absorption rate also decreasing by 0.1 percentage points to 40.2%. So those numbers really quite bleak.
What are the numbers for the Rand?
17 Rand 57. Quite strong against the dollar this morning. 20 Rand 53 cents against the euro, and 23 Rand 72 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $3,349 an ounce, or platinum is at $1,338. Brent crude at $66.18 a barrel. More business after 8.
Straight to the news desk we go. Sfiso Zulu. Mutero is talking about agriculture. What's the minister saying?
Well, Minister John Bongani says Asian markets are on his priority list as the country doubles down on diversifying trade. This is part of government's 5-point response to the US's punitive trade policy, which saw imports from South Africa slapped with a 30% duty. While Pretoria has submitted a new deal to try and bring this figure down, South Africa is continuing with plans to develop an economic response package for vulnerable companies and find alternative markets for some of its products. The US is South Africa's third largest trading partner after the EU and China, exporting mostly precious stones and metals, cars and car parts, iron and steel, aluminium products and edible fruit. Steenhuisen says China is a top destination for South Africa's agricultural exports.
Significant in a number of ways. It's the first time that China has negotiated more than one product with us at a time. We got 5 in this particular deal: stone fruit, apricots, peaches, nectarines, plums and prunes. These are obviously, we hope to conclude now this protocol on the sidelines of the G20. The next mission thereafter is cherries and mangoes, and we are already advanced in terms of the negotiations there.
A recent study suggests the ANC is likely to only retain its majority in 2 of the country's 9 provinces after the 2029 general elections. This is detailed in the Mapungubwe Institute for Strategic Reflection's latest report on coalition governments. The report analyzes trends before and after last year's general elections and highlights where the country seems to be headed. Alfara Mushwana takes a look.
Since the first ever democratic election, the ANC has lost its majority in the Western Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, Gauteng and the Northern Cape. A report by the Mapungubwe Institute for Strategic Reflection suggests that the party is also likely to lose its electoral majority in the Free State and Mpumalanga come 2029. Lead researcher Susan Boysen points out that while the Northwest is historically an ANC stronghold, trends show that the province is also on the edge.
Only Limpopo and the Eastern Cape seems to be very secure or secure enough. If those trends, long-term trends, are continuing, further provinces could possibly become coalition governments in the next election.
She says current trends indicate coalitions are here to stay. She also argues that provincial coalitions appear to be more stable than the one at national level. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
The torching of a Home Affairs building in the Germiston CBD has been condemned. Some disgruntled residents petrol-bombed the building yesterday, protesting against being evicted from a block of flats. The city's housing department says the occupants were removed because they have failed to pay their rent. Action SA's Lerato Ngobeni says destroying critical infrastructure is not the answer.
We don't agree at all with the burning of infrastructure. You can just imagine that office does not serve just this block of buildings. It serves the entire community. And so now you're going to have records that are burnt down. There are some records that are only paper-based. We have not fully moved into digitization of records.
And South Korea's former First Lady has been arrested over a range of charges, including stock manipulation and corruption. The arrest happened hours after the Seoul Central District Court reviewed the prosecutor's request for an arrest warrant against the 52-year-old. The court granted the warrant, citing the risk of tampering with evidence after prosecutors submitted opinion laying out her alleged unlawful acts. With the arrest, South Korea now has a former president and a first lady, both behind bars for the first time in the nation's history. The charges against the former first lady include violations of capital market and financial investment laws, as well as political funds laws. A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures are at lows of 7 and 9 degrees, peaking at highs between 21 and 22.
And in the traffic, we've got roadworks taking place in Polshof along the N1 North. Delays coming out of Malibongwe Drive all the way towards Rivonia Road. And more roadworks are causing delays on the N3 North. This is between Morafontein Road and the Baklu interchange.
The top story this hour, Agriculture Minister John Steenhuisen says Asian markets are on his priority list as the country doubles down on diversifying trade.
Do you know what's hiding behind colourful packaging of unhealthy food? Big food companies target children with unhealthy packaged foods that hide high levels of sugar, salt and fat, which could lead to heart disease, diabetes and hypertension. But the truth is hidden from consumers. Front of package warning labels are a proven solution to help consumers make informed decisions. The government must act now. We have the right to know what's in our food. Demand front of package warning labels. Sign the petition on heala.org, HEALA.org by 30 September.
Flu can be severe, especially for young children, older adults, and those with underlying health conditions. So do one thing for them. consider vaccination to protect you and your loved ones against the flu. Speak to your healthcare provider today to book an appointment covered by most medical schemes. A message brought to you by Sanofi.
Meet the new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7, re-engineered to be our thinnest and lightest foldable yet. Move with confidence, powered by an ultra-sleek, ultra-slim design that adapts wherever life takes you. Open your world to expansive screens, seamlessly crafted for work and play. It's innovation that fits your pocket. Upgrade to the new Galaxy Z Fold 7 and get double the storage on us. Hurry, offer ends 31 August. T's and C's apply. They opened their doors before sunrise, stayed up late, showed up. Now they've made it to the finals of Gauteng's greatest awards with 702 and Yoko because of you. But they're not done yet. Your vote that could make them Gauteng's greatest. Go to primemediaplus.com now to cast it. Because support isn't just spoken, it's action. And your vote is a standing ovation for the Corner Cafe with the big dreams, the local legend who never gave up, the startup that's changing the game. Gauteng's greatest award with 702, powered by Yoko. Let Yoko Counter fuel your business to greatness. Go to yoko.com to explore the new point of sale solution, saving hundreds of businesses time and money.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Hey Bongani, thanks for the reporting on the Germiston Home Affairs. I was there a month ago for a passport appointment. I arrived at 12 for an appointment at 2. I waited until 3 and the line moved by 5 odd places. While I was waiting, there was a gent that had a huge altercation with security. I had to get a translation from a person there, and apparently he just got kicked out, and they were refusing to give him his ID. He had come to collect his ID book, and he was so angry. He was just shouting at this security. I think he was saying he's going to come back. He was saying to the security, actually, what he's saying. He was saying, "You just step outside here, and I will kill you. I will beat you up." So that's the state of affairs there. It was just horrendous. I had to make another. Then they closed the Home Affairs at 3, and my day was gone. Cheers, Ben in Kensington.
It's Dumelo from Kempton Park. Bongani, I think I would take it as a sign if the building was hit by lightning or something like that, something natural, natural disaster related. But now this is not a natural disaster. This is man or human manufactured, if I can put it that way. So yeah, if it was hit by lightning, yeah, it would be a sign.
Morning, Bongani and your team. Bongs, for me, I don't see as a bad luck for those couple who went to Home Affairs in Germiston yesterday. It will be if that building, when they went there, just explore or something burn. But we all know that the reason that what happened is because of the protesters. But if in the morning nobody was suspected to have done anything, the building wake up and burn, I will say yes, there is a lot of bad luck in that regard. Thank you.
We're talking, of course, about the torching of the Home Affairs building yesterday. There was a story in the newspaper of a couple who had gone there to get married, essentially, to sign and make sure that they were legally married. And of course, as the building was torched, that couldn't quite happen. And I wondered if you have any superstitions around that kind of thing. Might you have seen it as a sign, I don't know, from the universe, from the ancestors or whatever, that perhaps we should pause the decision? As I understand it, Home Affairs officials have made a plan for this couple and are going to assist them to get married. Ben didn't have joy the last time he was at that office, from what he is suggesting there. I didn't catch the name of the voice note from Kempton Park. I think you swallowed that a little as you were starting to speak. But he says only a natural disaster would be a sign to him that perhaps he should pause things. More of your voice notes, a number of you, of course, commenting on our YouTube live chat. I've had to move my bag, Amo. I normally have a chair next to me where I put my bags because it's laptops, it's papers, it's newspapers, all sorts of things. And somebody on YouTube commented that it didn't look neat
I must say, it looks neater now.
So now I've moved it away.
It does look neat without your bags.
So we take every little bit of feedback, you see. Take it very seriously.
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance. It's your chance to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. So first 1,000 Rand for the answer, and then a little later 2,000 Rand if you can give us the question. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. Today's answer comes from Simon in Alberton. Simon, what's today's answer?
The answer is 1964, Bongani.
1964. And tell me, Simon, do you have a quote from Outsurance?
Yes, I do have, Bongani.
Your biscuit, 1,000 Rand is coming your way. All thanks to 702 and Outsurance. There you have it. Simon says the answer is 1964. What's the question? Call us if you know on 011 883 0702.
EWN Sport.
This EWN Sport is brought to you by RMB Corporate Banking. Ready, set, cash flow. And Anthony Teixeira, do you think I have my new Pirates shirt delivered yet?
I'm going to go with no.
So what do you think happened yesterday?
It was unfortunate, but it was another
I
defeat.
just keep saying.
I mean, you could go to the shop and just buy a shirt for yourself,
the Pirates
right?
Universe.
And
right?
maybe we can start winning.
Yes.
My
so
goodness.
at this point, it's your fault.
Yeah, you are holding us back.
I'm sure the coach was saying to the players afterwards, see, now that's how you play. You see? Yeah, this is his former club, right?
It was his former club indeed. Abdulsalam Wadu's former club, Marimo Galans, came back to haunt him at Orlando Pirates as he saw them give up a stoppage time goal in a 2-1 defeat in the Betway Premiership. At the same time, Miguel Cardozo was left red-faced and irritated by his side winning 2-0 against Amazulu. The coach felt that they lacked in front of goal.
Amazulu also had a couple of chances where they could have scored. And then a match that you can win, you can end by drawing it. So today, we also, believe me, despite 2-0, we were not happy in the locker room. There were players complaining on each other in a positive way, like, let's finish the game so that we get the comfort to move forward. It's normal. It's fantastic to have that ambience when you're not happy.
Newly promoted side Orbit College got past Siwelele 1-0 as well. This evening's televised games will have Steve Barker's Stellenbosch against Magezi, Kaizer Chiefs facing off against Polokwane City at the FNB. Kickoff for both is 7:30. While in cricket, the Proteas level the 3-match T20 series against Australia with a 53-run victory. Kopenbosch and Kwena Mapaka each took 3 wickets as the Baggy Greens were dismissed for 165 in the chase. Mapaka, the leading wicket taker in the series with 7 across the 2 matches. The foundation of that victory was done in the South Africans innings. Devon Burris produced the highest score of his career with an unbeaten 125. He also became the youngest Protea to score a century in the shortest format of the game.
Wow.
Yeah, exceptional.
Great performance.
The batter admitted he's always believed he could perform against the world's best.
I've always believed that this is where I need to be and where I'll be. So I never had doubt or anything. It's all about cricket, how things work out. It is a roller coaster. You have your ups, you have your downs, and it's never ever have I doubted myself. This is just, for me, the start of, if I could say it like that.
And Nzeda's Carlos Arkada has won a tour-leading 50th match in 2025. It's also his 13th consecutive Masters 1000 victory. He advanced to the Cincinnati Open round of 16, while the threats of lightning left Alexander Zverev and Jessica Pegula's third-round matches to be completed today. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
Feeling some lag in Sector 3?
Copy. Optimizing working capital. Ready. You're approaching a tight corner. Cash flow pressure ahead.
Low on liquidity. Supply pressure is building. Set.
Deploying cash injection in 3, 2, 1, flow.
Nice move. Better supply chain control.
Lab time advantage. Faster cash cycles, leaner inventory, and optimized working capital.
Ready, set, cash flow. Corporate banking from RMB. RMB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider.
Choose the best. The new Huawei Pura 80 series. The master of photography. A super sensor with precision zoom. Stay sharp from dawn to dusk with a superior 1-inch ultralighting camera and ultralighting macro telephoto lens. The master of color, enhancing every frame with vibrant color and incredible clarity. Tricky lighting? No problem. Take portraits against the light with every face perfectly illuminated. It's more than a phone. It's a professional studio in your pocket. Go beyond with Huawei Pura 80 series.
At the heart of global conversations shaping our future, Africa's voice is more important than ever. As proud lead sponsor of the B20, the Standard Bank Group is honored to showcase the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Because driving Africa's growth isn't just our ambition, it's our purpose. Tune in every Monday from 3 p.m. for the Standard Bank B20 In Brief for key insights and updates around the B20. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
You know what gets my attention? A man who drives the M-Zoom R-Style. Bold, confident, like he knows exactly what he's doing. That matte finish, that attitude, it's giving, text me when you get there. And now he's smart too. He just saved 50,000 rands. Promo price, only 439,900 rands. At that price, I might just text first. So, are you getting the R-Style, or must I keep swiping left? GAC Motor, where craft meets technology. T's and C's apply.
The Momentum She Owns Her Success workshop is back for season 7. And this year it's all about how women have the algorithm. Join them as they unpack the invisible codes that power her financial success on the 16th of August. Get the formula for your career, your money, and your life from inspirational women that make it all happen. Register now for the She Owns Her Success workshops at momentum.co.za. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized and registered credit provider.
EWN Traffic.
Right, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by the new Opel Grandland. With smart tech and striking design, it's German engineering on a grand scale. Test drive one today at your nearest Opel dealer. Delays in Irene, Amo?
That's correct, Bongani. Right at the intersection of a main road and Elmay Pierce Drive, about a 15-minute hold-up. Please be on the lookout there. If you're traveling on the N1 North, this is now along the Flying Saucer interchange through towards Rigel Avenue. Do expect delays due to peak time pressure there. There's also peak time delays reported along the N4 West between the Linwood Road exit and Proof Plus interchange. Please be on the lookout there and approach with care. I'll have more updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Great entrance? Forget that. Make a grand entrance. Grand! Be late, make everyone wait, and be grateful they did. Peeps be rubbernecking, staring gormlessly like deer in your 50,000 intelligent LED headlights. Grand! Make a grand entrance in the new Opel Grandland, designed and made in Germany. Achtung, baby. Grand! It's even got massage seats. Uber Grand! Visit opel.co.za for more.
702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance. Please tell me, what's the question? If the answer is 1964. Let's go to Andrea in Ruadeport. Andrea, what's the question?
Good morning, Bongani. The question is, in what year did the Supremes record their iconic hit, Baby Love?
Baby Love, Baby Love. Yes, indeed. Andrea, tell me, have you got yourself a quote from Outsurance?
Yes, I did.
How about 2,000 Rand coming your way? All thanks to Outsurance and 702.
Thank
Sing
you.
it with me. Here we go, Andrea.
Baby love, my baby love, I need your love.
I love it. That'll be your favorite song, no doubt, going forward. There's a fantastic clip, by the way, by one of the founders of the Supremes, Mary Wilson, talking about being a part of the legendary Motown group.
Yeah, and you know what's strange about that is that when we started out at the age of 13, we didn't know we were going to be that huge. You couldn't have known. And all we wanted was just to sing. Just to sing, so that we became 3 little black girls from the Brewster Projects in the early 60s, late 50s. It was very, that we would decide that we wanted to become stars. That was before black people were even considered citizens in the United States. So for us to sit there and dare to dream at that young age was really phenomenal, and that it came true. Yeah. Which shows that if you're young black or young whatever, if you really want something, to achieve something, you can do it.
I
was in another insurance company and I wasn't happy. One of my colleagues was also without insurance and she was happy. My niece is without insurance and she's happy. Then I just decided I wanted that happiness.
What was the real deal they could offer you?
870.
Every month?
Every month.
That's amazing. You're always getting something out.
Yeah.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands.
What brought you and Outsurance together?
Let me just jump on the call with them. Let me just see what's happening. He asked a lot of things about my vehicle, my sexy vehicle over here.
Ooh.
Yeah. And to my surprise, 718 Rand I ended up saving. And this awesome product called Panic Assist. 24-hour security if we need their help. Thinking I'm a father, I need to look out for my family.
Absolutely. They gave you the real deal.
It literally is the real deal.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
Are you just surviving when you know you're meant to thrive? Well, unlock your next level at the Mind Matters Summit, where CEOs, Olympians, and neuroscientists deliver real tools for real change. This is your upgrade. It's happening at the Cape Town ICC on the 4th of September. Mind Matters Summit. Change your mind, change your life. Book now at mindmatters-summit.com. So that's mindmatters-summit.com. in proud partnership with Prime Media Cares.
There's strong, then there's AfriSem Strong. So champion the build with AfriSem Cement, the trusted A1 choice for builders who demand nothing less than superior quality. Crafted for exceptional strength, proven durability, and proudly produced in Mzansi. Because some builds just aren't strong. They're built to last with AfriSam, proud official sponsor to the Springboks.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult day 3471. Fridays at work used to be great. 3 p.m., laptops off, music on, even a cheeky beer. Now I just sit with Teams open and pray that Monet from Finance doesn't message me at 4:57 p.m.
Hating the corporate 9 to 5? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's easy and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
702.
702. What's gone viral?
With Kabazela.
Time now for the world of viral content. Kabazela.
Good morning to you, Belle.
It's the little things that matter, right?
It is, and often we don't notice the little things sometimes because life is busy, and maybe you think, oh, well, that's just the way it is, and then you only appreciate it maybe later on in life, right? So the video we're talking about today is from TikTok. Mrs. K180 posted it, and she says, it's 5 a.m. before you head for work, and your mother is busy washing your car. That's it's a sweet video. I mean, you know, there she is. It's a white car. I'm not sure what make it is, but the mom is out there early in the morning, dressed and washing the car, and people really, it connected with people. Some people saying she's not washing it, she's blessing it, etc., etc. So many lovely comments on this video, and it got me thinking about the little things that you didn't notice that your parents did for you. You know, let's talk about in your later or earlier adult years, not as a child. That comes to mind. And if I think back when I was a young, started working at 702, 21 years old, going to work at 4 a.m. starting and all that kind of stuff. My dad, for years, every morning would get up with me, open up the gate, watch me off, and then I would drive from Rudderpoort all the way to Sandton every morning without fail. And I just thought, that's what a dad does.
That's what dads do, yeah.
That's what dads do. So that was years and years that he did that, and then eventually got to age where I said, no, Dad, not anymore. And also I moved out of home. So those little things, what were those things that you appreciated maybe later as an adult with your parents?
Thank you for that great question from Kabazela.
702.
702. Feedback.
With Siamtanda Matiso.
Siamtanda, what were those little things for you?
So I love sour porridge.
from home. The way my mom makes it is always nice. So whenever I go home, she wakes up in the morning and she does it for me. And even when I'm like, no, she still insists on doing it. So it's always nice to go home because of that.
All right. What other feedback do you have?
Listen, Bongs, yesterday and this morning, you raised a thought-provoking warning. Using Operation Tutula as an example, you questioned how long it would take for other groups to follow suit and take the law into their own hands. Lots of disagreement when it comes to this. Some are saying you are comparing two different things. Others are saying, listen, Operation Tutula is more patriotic, whereas the others are just acting out of unruliness. And if it was maybe the Red Ants that were the ones who burned down the building, then we would have a different story. But what you are comparing, nah, Bonks, the 702 landers are not on your side this morning.
The ones, it's a very simple thing. We can talk about differences in what was done, in how it was done, and most certainly in why it was done. But the principle remains the same. It's the Pula Mteto. See, if you Pula the Mteto, you break the law. That's what they have in common. Now, you might be more sympathetic to one group than you are to the other one, but it doesn't mean they didn't break the law. It's as simple as that. Don't Pula the Mteto.
This is EWN.
Germiston is much calmer after a chaotic day in the CBD, and BAT is against further regulations of tobacco and vaping. Good morning, I am Sfiso Zulu. Ekurhuleni Metro Police are patrolling the Germiston CBD a day after the Home Affairs building was petrol bombed. Occupants from a block of flats allegedly set the building on fire yesterday, arguing that they were not informed about the city's court's order to evict them. More than 400 people were removed from their units for failing to pay rent to the Metro. The city's Tabiso Mahato says the Metro will continue to monitor the process.
Currently, the situation is calm and with just people waiting for transportation and looking after their belongings. Ekurhuleni Metro Police Specialized Services and subs are patrolling and monitoring the area around Para Park in Germiston CBD.
Meanwhile, law enforcement agencies are being called to find other perpetrators linked to the torching of the building. The ANC spokesperson Jongizizwe Tlabatu says the residents had no right to take out their frustrations on public infrastructure.
We caution everyone that irrespective of their own frustration, at no point must they damage, vandalize or ban public infrastructure, for this infrastructure is part of service delivery aimed at helping the people.
The fraud and corruption case against the SAPS crime intelligence head Dumsani Khumalo and 6 others resumes in the Pretoria Regional Court today. Khumalo and his co-accused, all senior ranking police officials, were arrested last month. The charges relate to the appointment of Dineo Mokwele to an executive position within crime intelligence last year, despite her having no policing capabilities, knowledge or skills. The state claims the accused colluded in getting Mokwele's appointment over the line and that she submitted false information on her CV, not qualifying for her 50,000 Rand net salary she earned. Oren Singh reports.
7 senior crime intelligence officials, including the head of the embattled unit, Dumisani Khumalo, will appear in the Pretoria Regional Court this morning, facing 4 counts of fraud and corruption. According to the charge sheet, the accused acted in common purpose in appointing 30-year-old Dineo Mokwele last year as a brigadier within crime intelligence for the position of technical support system manager, despite her not having any previous policing skills or qualifications. Mokwele's post, a highly specialized division within crime intelligence responsible for national covert operations, netted her more than 50,000 Rand per month, raising serious concerns about her appointment. Last month, National Police Commissioner Fani Masimola appointed Major General Solomon Mkhato as Acting Crime Intelligence Divisional Commissioner in the wake of Khumalo's arrest. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
Cigarette manufacturer British American Tobacco says draft legislation to regulate the sale of tobacco and vaping products will collapse the industry and hand it over to criminals. BAT issued the warning during public hearings in Parliament yesterday on the Tobacco Products and Electronic Delivery Systems Control Bill, which is still under consideration. But an organization representing the pharmaceutical industry has welcomed the bill, saying the use of vaping devices, mostly by young people, should be regulated. Babalondenza reports.
BAT's head of corporate and regulatory affairs, Johnny Moloto, says while the intention to reduce smoking is a good one, the bill will do the opposite and will see an increase in smoking. Moloto says smokers will rather opt for cheaper illicit cigarettes, which ultimately benefit the illicit industry because the legislation only targets 25% of the industry that is compliant.
We believe that it will collapse the remaining legal industry, inflict devastating economic damage, and undermine good governance. Ultimately, it will hand the entire market to criminals on a platter.
But Independent Community Pharmacy Association CEO Jackie Myman welcomes the legislation and has called for tougher regulations on vaping devices, which are popular with the youth.
We really need to regulate this market. Bubblegum, mango, cotton candy, these aren't flavors, Chair, they are bait.
But she says since tobacco control was introduced, the country has seen a general reduction in smoking. Babalondenza, Eyewitness News.
And at least 3 people have died in a scorching heat wave that is fueling dozens of wildfires across parts of southern Europe, forcing thousands of people from their homes. Red heat alerts have been issued in parts of Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, and the Balkans, warning of significant risks to health as temperatures push above 40 degrees Celsius. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez says rescue services are working tirelessly in his country to extinguish the fires. Gold is trading at $3,353.79 an ounce. The rand is at 17.57 to the dollar, 23.73 to the pound, 20.53 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.10 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident on the N1 North in the city of Tshwane. It happened near Rigel Avenue. It's causing delays coming out of the Flying Saucer interchange. The N1 South is also backed up coming out of Linwood Road towards the scene. So please be on the lookout there. While traveling in Irene, we've got delays along Nelmapius Drive at the intersection of Main Road.
And in your sport, Kaizer Chiefs will be hunting back-to-back victories to start their Betway Premiership campaign as they face off against Polokwane City tonight. UEFA Super Cup will have a new winner as PSG and Spurs meet. And Wade van Niekerk books a spot at the World Championships.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 21 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, Ekurhuleni Metro Police are patrolling the Germiston CBD a day after the Home Affairs building was petrol bombed.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Show up for the finalist who showed up for you. Gauteng's greatest awards with 702 and Yoko. Vote for your favorite local business now on primediaplus.com.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. 7 minutes after 8 o'clock. Welcome to the show if you've just joined us. So the Eyewitness News team are telling us Metro Police are patrolling the Germiston CBD after that Home Affairs building was petrol bombed yesterday. It all happened because occupants of a block of flats, they allegedly set the building on fire because they were angry the city of Ekurhuleni was evicting them from this building they occupied. It's understood that more than 400 people had failed to pay rent to the Metro, which presumably owns the building. And the Metro says they are owed millions. And there was a court order to evict them. They were so angry that they weren't informed. They went next door or nearby and they burnt the Home Affairs building. So if you were a person waiting for an identity document, a marriage certificate, a divorce decree, or whatever documents might physically have been in that office, what do you do next? We're going to speak to the Department of Home Affairs Deputy Director General for Operations, Thulani Mavuso, coming up.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Been speaking with Adam Gilchrist over the last couple of days about the crackdown on crime by US President Donald Trump on Washington, D.C. And it would appear he's got a number of other cities on his sites. But I want you to listen now to one of my favorite members of the Biden administration, Pete Buttigieg, accusing President Trump of using all of this as a smoke screen to detract from his political problems.
As we speak, the federal government is taking over the policing of a major American city, Washington, D.C. The president is doing this not in order to make the city safer, that's the job of local law enforcement, but to solve his own political problems. He needs to get his base talking and thinking about something besides his refusal to open up the Epstein files because he's mixed up in them. And he wants the rest of the country focused on something, anything, besides the work that he has done and continues to do to kick millions of Americans off of their health insurance, to close down rural hospitals, and to undermine basic functions of our government in order to pay for tax cuts for the wealthiest. I hesitate to use a word like distraction, even though distraction is part of his goal, because it is a legitimately important thing that he is taking power in this way. And he has threatened to do it in other cities, maybe the community where you live, maybe the community where I live. So how are we supposed to handle this? We have to deal with both. We have to stand up to the dangerous authoritarian actions that the president is taking.
Pete Buttigieg there responding to Trump's efforts to take over a number of cities that he says the federal government cannot stand by and watch deteriorate. And it really has been a fascinating study in how an authoritarian leader asserts his power over time with the complicity of not only the populace, but indeed all the major establishments.
702.
Add your voice.
Have your say.
Let's walk the talk.
Morning, Bongani. What a great question from Kabazela. He took me back to the time when I started working in Joburg, and I was staying in Pretoria in Mamelodi. And my dad, when traffic was super bad, before the highways were this open, would wait up for me, but not only wait up, have coffee ready for me, as well as a bath running for me when I get home exhausted. Thank you very much, Kopano from Joburg now.
Hi, Bongani and the team. So when I started working around 2010, my grandfather would wake up and accompany me to the taxis, and he would give me money to buy sweets. So, you know, like a kid getting pocket money, my grandfather would do that. And it would be coins. It would be nothing like big coins or like a 10 rand at most. But he'll always, like every day, he'll give me something and be like, on your way to work, just get sweets. It was the sweetest thing, and it's a memory that I keep to this day. We lost our grandfather in 2019, but that stayed.
Kabazela's thing reminded me of my very dear stepfather, who every morning when I was at varsity and still living at home in winter, he'd get up and make a warm jug of water to make sure that the ice was off my car and that I could drive safely. Trish from Melbourne.
Hi, morning at Bongle's table here. You know, when I first bought my first house, she came and she insisted on cleaning almost every day when she was there. And on hindsight, I think probably she was also blessing it in a way. Thank you.
Morning, Bongani and Kabazela. So I had already moved out of home in Vosloorus, but every time I visited, I would just park my car, go in the house, and within a few minutes, my dad would grab the keys, a bucket of water, and he would wash my car, whether it was clean or not. You know, polish the tires, and by the time I leave, my car is shining and spotless, and he would say, "This is how your car is supposed to look like all the time." Oh, I miss him. May his soul rest in peace.
Oh, what nice families you guys come from, hey? Kopano, Trish, and all the rest of you are sending us these voice notes. The ice water on your windscreen, washed away, being accompanied to the taxis, given little coins for sweets. Oh, that just like does it for me, hey? The running of the bathtub. It's the little things that count. Kabazela has got this viral video that is posted of someone just appreciating the small little things the parents used to do. What are those for you? Maybe you remember them because maybe the person who did them is no longer around. Maybe they still do, hey? I don't have the most maternally affectionate and demonstratively loving mother in that way. But whenever we got sick, OMG, nobody makes Milo. I don't care who you are. I know you love your mother. Nobody makes better Milo than mine did when I was a child.
Did you ever fake a sickness to get more Milo?
She was a nurse.
Oh, so she would know.
She was a nurse. Don't try that. Don't try that. But I tell you now, especially in winter, if you were sick and she'd have a nice hot water bottle and the most delicious cup of Milo. I've tried for years, by the way, to replicate it. I tried it for my kids. They were like, nah, only my mother's Milo. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Amo, what was it for you, or what is it still?
When I go to my mother's house, if I am maybe knocking off late and I need to sleep over at her house, or I went out with my siblings and we're going to come back home late, obviously my brother will go to his house and, she waits for us. My mother still insists on waiting for us, no matter the time we're coming back at. She will wait for us and we'll have a cup of coffee or tea and then we'll go to bed. And if I'm leaving the house early, she will sort of like prepare with me as I'm about to go out of the house and she will wait until I'm gone.
Ask her for Milo, hey? Ask her for I promise you. Muteo?
Well, my dad is one of those guys that is really good at fixing stuff. We used to call him MacGyver, So if anything broke in the house, he would find a way. So recently I had a problem with my sliding door, and I was just telling him, hey, man, my sliding door is giving me issues. It won't close like it's supposed to.
Why to say less?
And he drove all the way to my place. It's like, I've got all these parts. Let's look at which wheels will work for the sliding door. And he actually helped me fix it. So
I have a sliding door issue. just putting it out there. Putting it out there to the universe.
EWN Traffic.
All in good jest. All in good jest. 16 after 8, this Eyewitness News Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. Amo?
Well, in the city of Tshwane, Bongani, we still have got those hectic delays along the N1 North between Porter Avenue and Linwood Road. This is due to that accident near Rigel Avenue causing those long queues. If you're traveling in the southerly direction of this route, you'll be affected due to onlookers coming out of Road. There's also queuing traffic in Irene along Nelmepius Drive and Main Road. This is due to faulty traffic lights. While traveling in a Midrand or heading towards Midrand, delays on the N1 North. This is between the Baklu Interchange and Allendale Road. I'll have more of your updates. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a parent and a nervous but excited kid practicing her lines to put on a show-stopping performance at the school play. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a future superstar on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
18 after 8, we're still reflecting, of course, on the Germiston CBD fire yesterday after the Home Affairs building was petrol bombed by protesters, allegedly being evicted from a building they would not pay rent for. So what happens to all the documents, the physical documents many people would have been waiting for that would have been torched in that fire? What to do next? Tulani Mavuso is the Deputy Director General for Operations at the Department of Home Affairs and joins us now. Always great to have you on the show. Thank you for talking to us. I mean, firstly, the damage was extensive, was it not?
Good morning and good morning to the 702 lenders. Yes, definitely the damage was very extensive, particularly on the top floor of that particular building. But on the ground floor, there wasn't fire damage what happened was that the debris from the first floor and also the water that the firefighters were utilizing obviously filtered through down the ground floor, obviously resulting into some water damage to some of the equipment. But I'm happy to say that the actual documents like your smart ID cards, your passports that were in the office were not damaged because they were locked in the safe, so the safe was not affected.
All right, so for people who are waiting for those documents, smart IDs, I'd imagine, birth certificates, marriage certificates, all the important documents we need for our lives to function. Are you saying all of those were safe?
Yes, just to indicate that, as I said, my smart ID card and passport were safe, to indicate that with the birth certificates and other certificates, remember, those are not pre-printed. They are printed on the spot, on demand. So we have no such that would have been damaged. I think the documents that would probably, we're still doing an assessment. We've got those individuals who might have applied for late registration of birth. Obviously, they have to submit different types of evidence to support their late birth registration. So those are the ones that have been affected, but we're still quantifying the numbers. But what we have done as part of business continuity is that we will move our mobile unit truck together with the smart ID cards and passports to Germiston Civic Center at the car park for now, to ensure that people can be able to collect. And those that want to apply for your birth certificates and other documents, we are going to reroute them to our Boksburg and Alberton offices.
All right, so just before we even get further, I would imagine when you have to apply for example, these late birth registrations, aren't there original documents you are meant to supply, and could any of those have been lost in the fire?
Yes, we have those cases. That's why I'm saying we'll have to quantify and then contact those particular individuals who might be affected. But the numbers are not huge.
All right, so in the meantime then, if you're expecting a smart ID or a passport, you can still get those, but from the Germiston Civic Center where the mobile units will be deployed. And for everything else, you can either go to Alberton or to Boksburg, and I'd imagine even Kempton Park in Ekurhuleni.
Yes, Kempton Park, Edenvale, Benoni, obviously those are our feeder offices that can actually support people who normally utilize Germiston office.
And what happens to the staff? I imagine they're going to move to then those other facilities. You'll be redeploying a lot of people.
Yeah, what we'll do is, as I was saying, we're bringing the mobile units. We will obviously get more people working on the mobile units, but some of the staff members will be sent to the nearby offices so that they can be able to continue to work. But for now, some of them, because who were there or when the fire started, because they were about to open the office, so we're providing some counseling to some of those who are traumatized by the experience, because some of them are already there on site.
Are you able to tell us at all what happened? My understanding so far is that this was a petrol bomb.
Yes, the police report for now that we're able to use the CCTV cameras from the adjacent building, where we're able to see the protesters who are also were arrested. There were two individuals who have been arrested. Who have been identified as part of this arson. So they did through something that obviously ignited fire as part of the fight that they had against with law enforcement that was evicting them. So there was a sheriff that was executing the court order to evict the people in that particular building. Unfortunately, because it's next to our office, so that's when then we are caught in the crossfire.
So they weren't necessarily intending to gut the Home Affairs building. It could have been really anyone nearby.
That's correct, yeah. Home Affairs was not the target in this instance. That's our understanding for now. But the matter is now with the police who are doing the investigation. We've opened the case. So the matter is now in the hands of the police to be able to ensure that those individuals that have been identified have been arrested. Then they can indicate exactly what transpired and what was their intention. But from what we have learned on the ground, it had to do with the fact that they were refusing to be moved because the municipality was carrying out that particular raid.
Eviction order. Appreciate your time. Tulani Mavuso is the Deputy Director General for Operations at the Department of Home Affairs. So if you are expecting a smart ID or a passport, those, he says, are safe. They're still, of course, trying to assess what that means for other documents, particularly those that would have been submitted by applicants for various reasons. But if you need other documents like birth certificates and so on, you can go to their feeder stations in Germiston, in in Boksburg, in Edenvale. Alberton is one, Kempton Park, and so on in Ekurhuleni.
702.
More than a radio station.
Let's walk the talk.
702. The World View.
With Adam Gilchrist.
All right, 24 minutes after 8 o'clock. Let's catch up with news from around the world. Adam, let's start a day before the two presidents meet. There's now concern by the Ukrainians of more land grabs.
Yeah, and of course, the Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky, is not invited to the meeting in Alaska with Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin on Friday. There are so many multiple rounds of talks and Zoom calls and other things ahead of it. All sorts of meetings today taking place virtually. I was thinking when I dialed up, am I sure that I'm on to 702 and Bongani? I could have dialed up to who knows who. But they're all talking today because, of course, Friday is when it all comes to a head. And as you say, whilst the White House has talked about land swaps as part of the deal, the Ukrainian president has called them land grabs. And as we speak, the Russian army is making slow but steady progress in the Donbass region in Ukraine, and at a crucial time because they will be able to include their recent gains in any bargaining. So, yeah, gain a territory, have an extra bargaining chip. But according to the White House press secretary, Caroline Levitt, that Friday will be a listening exercise for Donald Trump. Does Donald Trump do listening? We shall see.
And how well can he pay attention? Vladimir Putin, known for attention to detail. And I think you think of Trump as somebody who thinks more in generalities. Now, as far as details are concerned, tell me about Delhi's 1 million dogs.
Yeah, this is extraordinary. India's top court has ordered officials in Delhi and its suburbs, and it's enormous, Delhi and its suburbs, to remove all stray dogs from the streets and take them to animal shelters within 8 weeks. So they have an 8-week deadline to take in, as you say, an estimated doggy population of about 1 million, plus more in other suburbs. There are a lot of dogs on the streets who wander around, who scavenge for this and scavenge for that. But it's because of the menace of dog bites, with also the potential for rabies. That's why they're basically saying that we need to get them into the shelters where they will be vaccinated or sterilized, or frankly, a number of them will be exterminated. They'll be put down. So 1 million in 8 weeks. The stats, though, are worrying, and they explain the haste. There are 3.7 million dog bite cases across India last year. Over 3.5 million people were bitten by dogs wandering the streets. And although Indian officials don't agree with this stat, the World Health Organization says there have been up to 20,000 deaths in India from rabies. But you can see why they want to get a move on.
What was that zoo you were telling us about earlier the other day?
Take your unwanted dogs. I don't think they have enough leopards and tigers to consume.
Yeah, there you go. I saw really moving images on social media of Sir Paul McCartney visiting Phil Collins in hospital. And I'm now trying to remember if Phil Collins was indeed part of the original grouping of Genesis. Tell me about this first album, Adam.
Well, the short answer is that he was in the band Genesis quite early on, but don't think for the first tracks, because I think they were mates, weren't they? Peter Gabriel and Mike Rutherford and Steve Hackett and Tony Banks, wasn't he the other one? And then Phil Collins joined in as the drummer and then kind of took over a little bit once Peter Gabriel had left. But before Genesis, I know Genesis should be the beginning, but before Genesis, there was a band called The Genesis, who never registered their name and who have now got a music deal. So The Genesis, who you will never have heard of, you will never have heard their music. They've been discovered by a music producer called Will Twyman because he bought an electric piano from a member of the band, as it turned out, and included in that electric piano were some of the band's clips going back into the 1960s. He got in contact. He heard some privately recorded tracks. He heard more. He heard 80 or so songs originally produced by The Genesis. and thought, hang on a moment, this is a time warp gold mine. So he's now producing an actual album. I don't think it's yet on Spotify or Amazon Music or wherever. Chris and former bandmate Snip Turner, how's that for a 60s name? Snip Turner. They say it's insane their music is being released 60 years on. If you're wondering what kind of music, predating Genesis, the Genesis, moody mid-60s psychedelic prog rock, glam rock, opera fusion. I'm in. Yeah, why not?
How about an Exodus? Adam Gilchrist, we'll leave it there for this morning's Worldview.
EWN Business.
All right, Mutero, as we wrap up business news for the morning, Sasol expecting an earnings rebound. This is boosted, no doubt, by higher product prices.
Bongani, the petrochemical firm says it expects profits to go up by 36 Rand a share, despite lower oil prices and sales volumes. Sasol says that the business has been boosted by higher chemical prices, tighter cost controls at the firm, and also lower asset losses. In a trading update, the company says it had recorded significantly lower impairments of 20.7 billion Rand during the year. This was compared to the higher 75 billion Rand it lost last year. The company's shares surged by 11% on the JSE after the trading update.
And talk to me, Impala Platinum, their shares falling nearly 4%. What's up with that?
Yeah, it's a good time for platinum, but despite the platinum prices surging, the Impala Platinum is still licking its wounds after suffering losses during the price drops for PGM metals. The miner's revenue is expected to drop by between 63 and 79% due to lower sales volumes and inflation. The company skipped its interim dividend due to pressure on its balance sheet.
Your Rand?
Rand still holding on for very good gains against the dollar at 17 Rand 56 against the US dollar, 20 Rand 52 cents against the euro, and at 23 Rand 73 cents against the British pound. Price of gold in the good this morning at $3,352 an ounce, while platinum is up more than 0.5% at $1,344. Brent crude now at $66.05 a barrel. Stephen Crotis with more this afternoon.
And now for your latest eyewitness news, straight to the news desk we go. Sfiso Zulu, what you got?
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning. Ekurhuleni Metro Police are patrolling the Germiston CBD a day after the Home Affairs building there was petrol bombed. Occupants from a block of flats allegedly set the building on fire yesterday for being evicted from their units. They argue that they were not informed about the Metro's court order to remove them for not paying rent. The city's Tabiso Mahado says they will continue to monitor the situation.
Currently, the situation is calm and with just people waiting for transportation and looking after their belongings. Ekurhuleni Metro Police Specialized Services and subs are patrolling and monitoring the area around Para Park in Germiston CBD.
Statistics South Africa has agreed to review parts of its quarterly labour force survey, a key indicator of unemployment in the country. Despite criticism earlier in the year by then Capitec CEO Gerrie Fourie about its current model overstating job numbers, SSA says the revamp is in line with international labour standards. The statistics agency released the latest unemployment data yesterday, with the jobless rate rising by 3 of a percentage point to sit at 33.2% in the second quarter. Nowukayam Dambo reports.
Stats SA says the revised model is set to capture a more nuanced understanding of employment trends. The adoption of the framework is expected to significantly alter informality data. The current definition of the informal sector refers to registration and size. The new resolution states that registration is the key criteria, but size doesn't matter. The current definition of informal employment uses medical aid and a written contract as 2 of the 3 criteria needed, but the new definition prioritizes social insurance and access to paid and sick leave. Chief Director of Labour Statistics at Stats SA, Desiree Banamela.
We are not saying that we have not been following ILO or ICLS resolutions. We have been following them. But remember, over years, things change and we change with what has been adopted.
The changes are expected to be included in next quarter's data. Nogukanyam Dambo, Eyewitness News.
And a recent study suggests that the ANC is likely to only retain its majority in 2 of the country's 9 provinces after the 2029 general elections. This is detailed in the Mapungubwe Institute for Strategic Reflections' latest reports on coalition governments. The report analyzes trends before and after last year's general elections and highlights where the country seems to be headed. Alfara Mushwana takes a look.
Since the first ever democratic election, the ANC has lost its majority in the Western Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, Gauteng and the Northern Cape. A report by the Mapungubwe Institute for Strategic Reflection suggests that the party is also likely to lose its electoral majority in the Free State and Mpumalanga come 2029. Lead researcher Susan Boysen points out that while the Northwest is historically an ANC stronghold, trends show that the province is also on the edge.
Only Limpopo and the Eastern Cape seems to be very secure or secure enough. If those trends, long-term trends, are continuing, further provinces could possibly become coalition governments in the next election.
She says current trends indicate coalitions are here to stay. She also argues that provincial coalitions appear to be more stable than the one at national level. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 21 and 22.
And in the traffic, we've got delays along the N1 North. This is between the Crown Interchange and Boyson's Road. That's the M1 North, rather. And traveling on the N3 North, be on the lookout for delays. This is between the Geldenhuys Interchange and Van Buren Road.
The top story this hour, Ekurhuleni Metro Police are patrolling the Germiston CBD a day after the Home Affairs building was petrol bombed.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
Were you anticipating this level of resistance?
Not this level. Usually we do experience resistance when we are conducting evictions. The burning of the Home Affairs office is totally unacceptable. We are also, as you know, as municipalities across the country, we are cash-strapped, and part and parcel of some of the initiatives we are taking in the credit control environment is that we need to revitalize our CBDs, but that requires capital.
Fakamile Mbengashe.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Some mornings call for more than breakfast. They need the perfect brunch. The place where the coffee is endless, the eggs are done right, and the vibe makes you want to stay all day. So whether it's a sunny catch-up with friends or a quiet moment to yourself, they make mornings special. So now's your chance to say, I see you. Vote for them as Gauteng's greatest brunch spot now at primemediaplus.com. Voting closes on the 27th of August. Make it count, because Gauteng isn't just the hub of business, it's the home of excellence. And excellence deserves your applause. Gauteng's greatest awards with 702, powered by Yoko. Let Yoko counterfuel your business to greatness. Go to yoko.com to explore the new point of sale solution, saving hundreds of businesses time and money.
FlySafe's Business Booster is back to help elevate and celebrate small local businesses. Enter now at flysafe.co.za. Tell us about your business, and you could be one of 6 standout enterprises to win 10 return business class flights plus brand exposure across FlySafe's various platforms. Whether you're making, creating, or innovating, we're here to help your business not just take off but skyrocket. FlySafe, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Stats SA is introducing changes to the questionnaire it uses to assess how many people are working. The Statistician General is Rusenga Malaleke.
Since 2008, we have introduced the quarterly labor force survey, and we have been making additions in terms of the developments that we are picking up. So it's not a new thing, and it's not a question of what was raised by the former CEO of Capitec, Harry Fori.
The Money Show
on 702. 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA CIB, equipping you with efficient and secure cash management solutions for your business. Your story matters. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
No, Banks, I disagree with you on this one. Take the L and move on. Umthetho is not working for the people. Let the Umthetho work and the people will obey the Umthetho.
I agree with the previous caller. It is unfair to compare what happened in Germiston with what Operation Dudula is doing. Operation Dudula has not burnt a building down. Operation Dudula is totally different. Now, you cannot pin every single thing that is happening in the country to Operation Dudula. What happened in Germiston has nothing to do with Operation Dudula. No. Did they encourage the people in Germiston to burn the building down?
Good morning, Bongani. This is Simon in Veldeveen Park. Regarding the torching of the Home Affairs building in Germiston, it's just said, I think it feeds on to the question that you were asking yesterday regarding Dudula. But when you look at it, the culture of destroying infrastructure when people are protesting has been in South Africa for many, many years. And it's strange right now to see political parties saying, oh, this is wrong and everything else. Even the ANC, when they march against themselves, they go and destroy infrastructure. So it's very hypocritical, to sit and say we're condemning everything, by political parties, which of course it should be condemned. But it's a culture that everybody learns from political parties themselves. So it's just sad, and it must be eradicated. Thank you.
Good morning, Bongani, Tyron Randburg. I very seldom agree with you, but this morning I'm 100% with you. 100%. You spot on. It's the principle. They're both law breakers. If you really want to call it out, they're both involved with criminal acts. They're both criminals. Both groups are criminal.
It's as simple as that. I understand there'll be a lot more sympathy for the reasons Operation Dudula exists in the first place. And that's the point I've been trying to make all along. Focus on that. What has led us to the existence of Operation Dudula in the first instance? It's the people who have allowed the situation to become as uncontrollable as it is. And so, when people experience those frustrations at public facilities, be they health or otherwise, you've got to look at who's in charge. And you've got to look at why they're turning a blind eye to what Operation Dudula is doing, even if they disagree with it. That's the point. It's not an attack on Dudula. I have not said at any point that Dudula encourages the burning and torching of buildings such as we saw in Germiston yesterday. That's not the linkage here. But for anybody, whether it's Dudula or indeed the protesters in Germiston, all those who have genuine service delivery frustrations, who burn down public infrastructure, schools, clinics, hospitals, it is fundamentally breaking the law. Whatever your motivation, however justified you may feel your reasons are.
EWN Sport.
19 minutes before 9 o'clock. Let's talk things far more relaxing. Anthony Teixeira, let's talk sport. Not quite as relaxing for Pirates fans so far, but Amakosi are in it to win it.
They'd hope so. Match day 2 of the Betway Premiership will conclude this evening with 5 games all kicking off at 7:30.
Nice.
I'm also trying to be nice. I'm also trying to be nice.
I want to see you being nasty then. Wow. Chiefs fans, it's all on Anthony Teixeira. Now I was trying to be nice. Well, we've been humbled in 2 games, so I can't afford not to be nice.
Yeah, I don't have a horse in this race, so I don't have to be nice. Kaizer Chiefs will be eyeing back-to-back wins as they face Polokwane City. Makosi captain Inacio Miguel was ready to carry the momentum.
Yeah, starting the league, it's always important with winning, It will give us the mood for the rest of the season because we start with the right foot. They know that what was lacking last season and what we have to do different this season, it's all about the consistency.
Stellenbosch come up against Magezi. Golden Arrows face Richards Bay. Gavin Hunt and his Durban City Chargers will clash with Chippa. And we have Sekhukhune United up against TS Galaxy. Last night, Mamelodi Sundowns picked up the first win of their campaign, while Orlando Pirates have now lost consecutive matches. We'll have a first-time winner of the UEFA Super League when Champions League victors PSG take on Europa League champions Spurs. The North London club are making their debut in the showpiece. While speaking of the uncertainty of the new Tottenham manager Thomas Frank, Luis Enrique shared that he held talks with the Premier League side before making the switch to Paris.
It's difficult because they change the new manager, some of new players. I don't know what kind of game they are going to plan, but it's going to be difficult because they have been training for the last month and We are in our first week, but it's not an excuse. We are going to try to compete on our best.
Kickoff is 9 p.m. In cricket, David Brevis scored a dazzling unbeaten 125 to lead the Proteas to a 53-run win in the second T20 and level the series against Australia. In athletics, Wade van Niekerk ran a World Championship qualifying 20.07 in the 200 meters, his fastest time in the event for 8 years. While US sprinter Fred Curley has been provisionally suspended for an alleged doping whereabouts violation. The World Anti-Doping Code states that an athlete cannot miss 3 tests or failures within a 12-month period. The Paris Olympic bronze medalist intends to contest the ruling, blaming the officer for failing to reach him. And Dana White has told CBS Mornings that the UFC is set to host an event at the White House as part of the next year's 4th of July celebrations to mark the 250th anniversary of the country's founding. Yep.
They're bringing the wrestlers.
Can you imagine? They haven't confirmed whether or not...
The fighters, rather.
Yeah.
The
MMA.
Yeah.
They haven't confirmed whether or not fans will be allowed to go, but usually these are live events that get quite loud.
Trump is turning the White House into Vegas.
You said it, not me. White said that he plans to meet with the president and his daughter Ivanka at the end of the month to finalize the plans, while the White House official has also confirmed that event to the BBC. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Right, let's wrap up the traffic news. It's 8:45. Amo?
Well, Bongani, we've got delays on the M1 North between Boysons Road and Carr Street. Peak time delays there. There's also queuing traffic along the N3 North. In fact, routes that are leading towards the Baklu interchange, the N3 North, the N1 North, as well as the M1 South out of Allendale Road. So please be on the lookout there. While traveling in the city of Tshwane, that accident is still there along the N1 North, right near Rigel Avenue. Delays from Water Avenue. There's also queuing traffic in the southern direction due to onlookers. I'll have more of your updates. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
When you empower a woman, you empower a whole nation. Women have a remarkable way of multiplying whatever is placed in their hands. This August, we're celebrating Women's Month with the theme Building Resilient Economies for All. We reflect and honor the courageous women of 1956 who took a stand against the injustices of the past. We also recognize and celebrate all South African women who continue to lead, build, and inspire across every part of our society, from business and education to peace building and beyond. Yes, there is still much to be done. The pursuit to achieving total gender equality and empowerment will continue until every woman is able to enjoy the benefits of a safe and just society. #Rekaufela Basadi. Women's Month 2025. A message by the National Department of Sport, Arts and Culture.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for real estate agencies, law firms, computer services, and more. Jacqueline?
We saved a lot of money when we switched over from another insurance company to Business Outsurance. We've had some claims and they were friendly and efficient and paid out when they promised.
Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Coming up
on the Clement Manyatela Show
on 702.
The man of the moment himself, Clement Manyatela, is back from a quick short left. So, was it yesterday you were swimming with, I don't know, the fish in the ocean?
Yes, and here
in the Seychelles.
Swimming with Abu Bongani in the studio.
Remember, Jeff Khaidev calling it the Seychelles. Let's not go there. What chili are you serving on the show?
So, today on the 702 Open Line, we are going to talk about the National Convention. That's starting on Friday. I think it is Friday, right? And there are more organizations that are pulling out. Solidarity, AfriForum, the Freedom Front Plus as well. So there's a second GNU party that's pulled out. So we're going to have a chat about that on the open line, but also at 10 o'clock, because I'm interested in the conversation about the costs, because I don't think that is being clarified enough. One of the things that surprised me was it looks like the presidency says, well, it's the foundations that asked for the 700 million rand or so.
800 million was the figure Vincent Makwenya gave me on Monday.
But then when you look at when there was backlash from the public about that amount of money, did you hear any of the foundation guys coming out and saying, No, guys, we asked for this, and this is how the money is going to be accounted for.
So part of what they're saying, and you can decide if it's spin or real, is that the foundations came up with a ballpark figure, some of which was going to be provided by government, the rest of which government says it expected them to fundraise to get. And so there was supposed to be this meeting of each other halfway at some point. Vincent Makwenya told me that the president balked at 800 million. And so I said, okay, so what's the president's ceiling then?
Yeah.
What's the figure beyond which the president says,
Can't go further. Okay, so we're going to try get clarity on that at 10 o'clock. And then I also want us to touch a little bit on the open line about this impasse between the Zambian government and the family of the former president, Edgar Lungu. I've spoken to both the Zambian government, the minister there, and also the Lungu family. I'll play those clips. And also just figure out what will they be willing to compromise here, because this man died in June and here we are still fighting in court. At 10:30, we're going to be in conversation with Standard Bank. We'll be discussing opportunities that the G20 presidency presents for women. And then we wrap up at 11 o'clock, our listener's choice feature. Today we're talking about fake alcohol, illicit alcohol. Do you know that you could be having some champopo and it's actually illicit? It's fake. It's not really real champagne. But it's very difficult to tell the difference. So we'll speak to an organization that's sounding the alarm on this. And then we wrap up the show at 11:30 with the sharing space. And I'm going to be asking today, in fact, it's a listener who's told us a story of how he got married at the age of 27. And he actually realizes that that was the biggest mistake he's made, because he had not even found himself. And yet he had found someone, quote unquote. So I want to hear stories from other listeners who got married young.
Is this listener still married?
He is still married. And he says him and his wife have been very frank about this, that we shouldn't have got it. But here we are. We'll just keep it going.
Goodness me.
How old were you?
When I got married, I was 29.
Oh, hey, ni brave, yes?
I was 29 years old.
Ni brave.
Well, I'm not married anymore, am I?
Tells you much.
Clement Manyatela, between 9 and 12.
Change will give you blisters. You can wear it in, or it can wear you down. It's exhausting, uncomfortable, pushy. Change is work. Change is motivating. Change is ambitious. Change is the finish line that always moves. Change is opportunity. We're ready to chase it. For over 3 decades, we have been committed to seeking out the best investment opportunities for you, wherever they may be. 91. Investing for a world of change. 91 is an authorized FSP.
Selling your car shouldn't be a mission. We Buy Cars gets it. Life's short and time's precious. Get an offer online and sell your car within a day from wherever it suits you. It's really that simple with We Buy Cars. Shopping for your new ride. Discover thousands of vehicles online or in-store. We Buy Cars, South Africa's trusted way to buy and sell cars.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Not that the others don't count, but time now for my favorite conversation of the week. Corporates that care. The idea, of course, is to promote corporate leaders and really all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. And I'm so pleased to tell you that today we're in conversation with Unilever South Africa. Justin Apsey is the CEO and joins us in studio. Welcome to 702 Breakfast, Justin. And thank you for coming in.
Good morning, Bonnie. Very, very happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Now, you may have heard I ask this all the time.
Yep.
Please tell me why you are a corporate that cares.
Listen, I think the first thing that starts with that is our people care. Yeah, I think one of the big things, if you speak to people in Unilever and why they work there, they will tell you it's because we have a deep care for society, for our people that work for us. And that comes out in what you see in the external environment. I mean, if you look at Unilever globally, you'll see the commitments that we've made, and we've been doing that for well over a decade in that space. But if I'm honest, those are all just statements and comments. The real thing is our people, and that's the piece which keeps me there. And hopefully that's what you feel when you speak to Unilever people.
Walk the talk, as you know, is our famous tagline for 702. And in many respects, this is exemplified by what you do. Let's talk procurement, for example. I think 2019, you guys were sitting at around 40% local procurement, and you're about to hit 80%.
Yeah, listen, I think that's a fantastic story. I won't lie, COVID obviously played a key role in that conversation and helped us accelerate it because of the partners we could find. But, you know, we found, and it wasn't just here in South Africa, it was across Africa, we needed to get a lot better at making ourselves more resilient. And that felt really in terms of how it was going to contribute to the economy. So we made a decision with our supply chain team in terms of how could we localize a large part of our input product. We already make about 95% of that stuff here in South Africa, but 40% of it we were importing the raw materials. And so we sat down with our suppliers and we sat down with a number of people in our organization and said, so how do we do this in a way that we can move? Yeah, and I'm very excited. By the end of 2025, we should be at 80%.
I would imagine there are some entrepreneurs who have benefited from that process. And I don't know if you've got any stories that stand out of people who, because of partnering with Unilever, are now able to have thriving businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think two that come to mind because they're two of my favorite categories. One is in my washing powder category, which I've been worked on for a long period of time, and then one within foods. You know, we've got our Afro Zonke team, a small black-owned business, which was quite small in what we needed to do. We invested with them together with some other partners, and we were able to take a mineral processing, which we were importing from Brazil, bring it here to South Africa, be able to source fully from them into our factory here in Boksburg in the East Rand. And that organization now over the last couple of years is at a point now where it's now starting to go outside of South Africa and to be a regional player on the back of that.
So they're now exporters.
They're now exporters, you know, and this is a team of people who actually worked within corporate, saw an opportunity, took a chance on a business, and we were able to work with them. So a really exciting example in terms of what we've done in that space. Another one is Tamong. Tamong is a company which we've worked with together with some other partners in terms of we had an issue where all of the herbs and spices in South Africa were going to India to be steam sterilized. And that was important given the fact of the ingredient which you wanted to include. The challenge, of course, is when you start doing that, people start asking, why don't you just buy herbs and spices somewhere else? And I think what it was doing also is the small local farmers here were not able to get their produce out and sellable to us because they could never take it to India and bring it back. By bringing steam sterilization, once again, investment through that, we've now got a situation where we are sourcing nearly 100 million worth of steam sterilized herbs and spices out of that organization. And also now have built a smallholder farmer project in KZN, which is feeding into it.
And I'm reliably told pink is your favorite color? Sort of.
Pink is definitely my favorite color, particularly in Women's Month, in terms of what's going on at the moment and where we're at. Listen, Just Pink is another really good example. It's a smaller organization. We do a lot of merchandising, which is effectively packing the shelves in stores to make sure consumers are ready. We've got a business which we have incubated together with our bigger partner on merchandising, where they're able to actually now employ nearly 100 ladies in the Western Cape, servicing our department channel. And once again, someone really passionate, Janine, who saw an opportunity, had been in this industry for a long period, needed some funding. We were able to provide funding through our Enterprise Development Fund, provide that offtake in terms of the work she does with Clicks. We're really excited what she's doing down in the Western Cape and really showing that women have huge power.
But also, I mean, not every business that you work with, grows into something quite as significant as some of what you've described. You work with smallholder farmers, you work with cooperatives. Tell us a bit about the Jozini initiative.
Jozini is an interesting one. So Unilever, we talk about where do we want to play within the area of what we contribute in society. And we have a plastics agenda, climate and nature, and a livelihoods. Jozini is a great example of many of those coming together. So we know that agriculture remains a massive opportunity here within South Africa and on the African continent. But very often there's a challenge in terms of how do you get to world-class processing ability, as well as do you have offtake agreements. So together with the KZN Department of Agriculture, we've partnered in the Ndomo region in Jozini, where we've invested in some of the infrastructure needed to be able to create a chili and coriander business for available to them. And that's globally aligned and actually world-class in terms of quality. And we're now starting to take some of that off. Some of those ingredients actually will come off now and will be within Robertson Spices very soon.
But hang on, I mean, we often hear about the cost pressures as far as localization is concerned. How do you deal with those?
Bongani, that's a challenge, yeah, and I won't lie in that space. The consumer in South Africa is very, very stretched at this moment in time, and I think we're clear, while everyone wants to contribute and buy local and help, it's hard, when you've got to take that money out of your own pocket in that space. So, we don't believe that it is a cost pressure. We believe it's something that you are able to find clever ways of doing it. I think in the past, we try to do it ourselves. Where we're finding when we partner with other organizations, whether they be private or public sector, quite frankly, we're able to actually deliver a very cost competitive, in fact, in some cases, better cost, because you're able to protect yourself from exchange rates and some of those challenges. So yeah, we don't believe that's something which, I know it's something which people find when they start, but let's get creative, I think. And if you use your business associations, you use your governments, you can find solutions.
So this thing of perhaps not relying too heavily on imports and looking for opportunities that are about localization is, in a sense, seeing the glass half full instead of half empty.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to look at it. I think the hardest part is the ecosystem. I think people get very focused on, I want to import that, or can I export that, or can I make it here? But the question is, how do you do it in a way that answers the societal challenge that is South Africa and embraces the environment you're in? And what I mean by that is you've got to have an inclusive growth solution. You can't go it yourself. So the worst thing we did is we built a lot of businesses where we were their 100% offtake. And then the minute we moved, they failed. So building resilience into businesses. Also, businesses require different skill sets, and Unilever brings certain skill sets. Who else brings other skill sets? So that partnership piece has really been the biggest unlock.
Collaboration.
Absolutely.
I mean, your products across all the ranges you offer are so central to South African homes. You talk about the economy and how hard-pressed many South Africans are, and yet you've still got a good story to tell.
Yeah, I think what I would say, and it's not me, I think Unilever, over 130 years in the country, the consumer is the boss. And she decides where we go and what we do. I won't lie, like many corporates, we've probably lost our way at different times and different moments. But in the end, we come back to that. And I think as long as you stay focused on her and you stay focused on making a difference in the society you're in, because there's no business model for a failing society, this is the place to be.
For someone who may not readily think of Unilever in terms of the bird's eye view, give me some of your favorite well-known South African products from Unilever.
There's so many, but I think Omo, Sunlight, so one of our biggest brands, Dove, Vaseline, Robertson's, Knorr, available in terms of where we go, Lifebuoy. So I think if you go to your cupboard, you're going to find at least 3 or 4 of my products sitting there at the moment.
You had me at Aromat.
Yeah, Aromat, and that's always one people, everyone. You can't have a meal without Aromat.
No, indeed. Justin Napsey, CEO of Unilever South Africa, a corporate that cares.
702 podcasts are on 702.co.za.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of 702 Breakfast. Clement Manyatela is back in the hot seat. And maybe as a naughty part of the open line, do wish him a belated happy birthday. It's 9 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Police have found the bodies of 4 people near Muizenberg in the Western Cape. The men are believed to have been shot in a gang-related hit in the Overcome Heights this morning.